So let's call this meeting to order for September 17th, officially starting at 9:40. Opening prayer. Pete, can you lead us in that prayer?
Hey Pete, can you unmute?
Why don't you just put the prayer in chat?
All right, let me start over. I had me muted. There. All right. We thank thy Father for this and all thy bounty. Teach us to avoid the pitfalls of prejudice, pride, and vanity. Give us strength to aid the helpless. Rid our hearts of selfishness. Teach us mercy, humility, and charity. Make us thoughtful of the weak, the sick, the unfortunate, and needy. Make our humble lives a reflection of thy goodness. These things we ask in thy name. Amen.
Amen. All right, let's stand up. Place your hand on your heart. Find a flag near you. Right up here in front of us. And you're going to do the pledge of allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the
Of the
United
United States of America,
Republic
for which it
one
stands,
nation, under God, indivisible,
indivisible,
liberty and justice for all.
Amen. Pen, need a paper?
Next we have Yasmin. Roll call and minutes.
Minutes are on the table. Dave, do you have those to share? Because I haven't pulled those in.
Yes, let me do that.
It's not my bag. All right, so take a couple minutes. Dave, you get that put in the chat?
Doing it right now.
Okay, we're gonna put the the July meeting minutes into the chat. So take a couple minutes, and please look through that. And let us know if there's anything we need to add or subtract.
Hey, Yasmin, it's the one that you sent me labeled September.
No, did I not?
No, the September one
share
is
it? I should
actually
have
this.
shared it in July when I finished it. I'll reshare it.
Oh, you know what? I got it now.
Do you?
Yep, it was just buried. Yasmin, can you pass around the roll call for mileage and we can get that to Josh? And if everyone can put their name and address for mileage, Josh will get those checks sent out. Oh, and phone number in case he needs clarification. What's up, little one?
Probably a good idea.
No, it's not.
Is there a better one?
I move to have the meeting, minutes from July meeting approved.
Second, support.
And we are open for discussion. Is there anything we want to discuss about our July meeting minutes? Chad,
Nothing so far.
nothing on chat. All right. Anything to talk about? Okay, with that being said, we're gonna go ahead. All those in favor of accepting the meeting minutes from our July meeting, say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, say nay. Okay, with that being said, we are accepting the meeting minutes for July and moving onward to our president's report with me. I don't have a lot to report, just busy with the whole school year starting. We're moving forward with trying to find or continue to find a location for this year's convention. But I'll let Adam talk about where we're at with convention, because that's more his role. As far as presidents goes, we're just moving forward. We have a budget to present. We have to talk about a lobbyist later and a couple other new things. But most of what I have to say will probably be covered by everybody else. So, like I said, just trying our best to move forward, continue to work. So that being said, I submit my president's report for okay, and open for discussion.
How close are you from signing contracts with,
Next week.
Hopefully next week. We went, like I said, Adam's gonna get into this. We went Tuesday, Lake Michigan College. And then Thursday to see. They were good, very open to work. They seem to be excited to actually work. That way, no, we're talking spring 23. OCC still won't give us a contract. We need more security than that.
Okay.
So. All right. We head down 94 Sprinkle Avenue, literally off the highway. Light on the right. You actually are. So super good facility. It's easy to get to. Lots of parking. Facility. Yeah, I want to say there's like 3 or 4 hotels across the road, and there's probably about 4 or 5 more just on the north side of the highway. So there's plenty of places to stay, plenty of places to eat right there. Like I said, even not a lot of traffic.
the same like area as they have events for athletics and stuff?
Is that the athletic events area too? Because I've been to the Wing Center for athletic events. multiple
Yes.
times.
Yep. So they have.
It's a good venue.
They have 3 hockey arenas there, and we're looking at renting out their 2 smaller ones. Best because they're gonna be easier to access in and out. Their main arena is set up more like a stadium where it's harder to get in and out, but I think their 2 off to the side is probably gonna be pretty easy with both pedestrian doors and with overhead doors.
I would assume that you have the dates and hotels and all that information. Is that been given to the web? Ready
Because
for-
we haven't signed the contract yet, we haven't released that information. But as soon as we sign that contract, getting hotels and everything else is gonna be super easy. We're gonna get that out as soon as possible. Our goal is to release information and have most, like 90% of everything set up before February.
What is
Yeah.
the approximate date that you're
10th through the 13th. 10th through the 13th. It's Mother's Day weekend.
No, I know it's not official, but
No, that's it.
That's what we're shooting
we'd
for.
be the 10th through the 13th.
Can you have, let's say you sign the contract next week,
We'd like to get our dates and our hotel information out as soon as possible. What I'm saying with February is, for instance, our PD schedule and things like that. We'd like to have that ready to go so we can release it and advertise it for February, March, and April. So we have 3 months to advertise for PD, but we should have all of our other information about where it is and set up and things like that ready to go.
so next week you can have it online.
I'm not gonna guarantee next week, but as soon as possible.
Okay. Is there a way we can give it to the web person, have him, a person, get it ready to go?
Yep.
I think we all understand how crucial it is, because if we don't get it in, let's say, between Webb and Pete Tork and send it out.
Yep.
And blast it out there, we might lose a lot of teachers, because
I know last year there was a lot of concern or a lot of questions because they weren't sure if we were having it because of COVID and things like that. We kind of, had to make that decision a little bit later in the year because of COVID.
yeah,
But this year, we want to get that blasted out. Our newsletter should be stating that on a regular basis. Our goal is to get a newsletter out every month.
that's fantastic. I think we're all concerned about that. Just getting that blasted out.
Let's face it, the convention is the most important thing that we do.
Well, no.
Can I jump in for a second too after Joe's done?
Sure, Jeff.
So I need to, this piggybacks on what Joe's talking about as far as updating website. I need to spend my PD money here at the beginning of the year, and the pricing for joining mites is currently reflecting the 22 school year. So if we could get that updated so we can get, people in as well, when I sent it over to KRISA, they wouldn't allow me to spend my money because it's reflecting last year's convention pricing.
Okay,
Thank you.
you're welcome. We'll get down.
That's,
I was with Cody Gunnock, he's a teacher replaced me at Trenton. And he said he had to have his requisition in by the 30th of September, he could not go to the conference. Because they gotta actually know where the money's going to go out of the budget. So that's one of the things, we've got a lot of CT teachers in the Downriver Technical Consortium that's in the same situation right now, that do come to mites. So that was his concern. So I look back at my requisitions, I kept them all, when I retired. And I was putting in on, the last one I put in was September 10th to come to the convention. And I talked to Pete about it, getting it online way back, and he did. And so I got to go. But Trenton always says it's got to be done by the 30th of September, or you're not going. Somebody else gets to go to their conference. So I just wanted to pass that on to you guys. So we might be losing a few teachers out of the downriver area because they may not be able to go if we don't get it up and running.
Like I said, hopefully we can get that information up on the internet like next week. As soon as we have a contract, it's gonna get posted.
Still the registration information up there though.
Yep, registration, we should take the date off of our registration. That way we're not limited by updating our web.
this sounds is 2023, that's all you just put on there.
Then if we cut that out,
Yeah,
That's the
2020.
biggest thing. I don't really necessarily care about when exactly the conference is, but as long as they get registered.
Yep.
Well, and you can put tentative. Tentative, yeah. The most important thing is to get it up there.
so Dave, can we fix that one on the web?
Yeah, there are multiple things with that I'll talk about during my report, and I think during Pete's as well.
Okay, sounds good. Any other discussion for president? Any discussion online for president?
Not- Nope.
All right, so with that being said, all those in favor of accepting the presidential report, say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, say nay.
Aye.
That being said, we carry that report and we move on to Don Shad. Don Shad is online. So Don Shad, give us your vice president report.
No report.
All right. Since there's no report, we don't have to discuss it. We don't have to do anything with it. So we're gonna move on to the secretary report. Yasmin. No report for Yasmin. Moving on to the treasurer's report with Josh Burkhardt. Josh is online.
Good morning. I'm going to go ahead and drop the links into the chat for the treasurer's report. And the treasurer's report does have the proposed 2022-2023 budget in it. So when we get to the end of the meeting and we vote on that, we'll have that information to look over. Basically at this point, really no movement in endowment fund, no movement in the LUTS grant outside of the interest that we bear on those accounts. PayPal stands at 3 cents over 1,000, and the bank account balance is 56,610, and the Fifth Third checking is 18,588 and change. The total available funds outside of the endowment and the grant account is 76,198. We do have an outstanding debt yet to the Lansing Convention Center, and that is $13,318.91 to be paid. That leaves us with operating capital for the year of $62,879.75. And I'll discuss more about the future proposed budget, income and expenses when we get to that part here at the end, and how it's reflected in those figures. But I am happy to report that the MDE has granted Mites another $50,000 for the 2022-2023 school year. And then after we get to October 1, MDE will appropriate those funds and let me know that I can transfer those to the bank account. So I'll do that then. And I'm closing the books on the 2021-2022 school year for Mites, which are operating year, which ended on August 30th. And so I'll be submitting to the MDE grant by the end of this month, their report for this year's funds and how they were appropriated by Mites, and then also the additional reporting to Mites for how the financials have been spent and the income we've had. And then the, like I said, the budget's up and ready to go for voting later. And then lastly, I am excited to report that Amazon Smile program is donating funds to us quarterly. So thank you for those that have utilized the smile.amazon.com or Amazon Smile app to purchase your Amazon.
Yeah, $26 of that was from me, so.
Did you unmute it?
No, yeah, I did.
So the program is working. As of today, since March, we've had $46.75. In my report, how to log into that. And that is my report, and I move for its acceptance.
I move to accept Josh's report.
Open for discussion.
Half of that that you got, Josh, was from me. Over half of it was from, because my wife uses it for her work too.
Awesome, thank you.
I didn't know if I had come
So there.
I think that's something that should be sent out an email, instructions how to add it to your Amazon. Because it never
In the
was.
newsletter. We're trying not to email as much and get onto our monthly newsletters.
So that's, I think it just needs to go out on instructions how to do that, because that's, it's free money.
So I have sent that out 3 times.
I have never gotten it. Sorry.
Problem is, only 20% of people open our emails.
That's it.
Yep.
My Mine are getting filtered into weird spots. Fire never see it.
Yeah,
See, I'm not getting them either.
No,
then,
I have to look.
let me make sure we have the most up-to-date email for you.
That was the last email I sent out.
In a week.
Yeah, either
I
beginning of
got
this week
that
or
one.
last week.
Yeah, I got that one. So.
All right. So Josh, correct me if I'm wrong, you said we're at about 62,000 right now, and now that's without the 50,000 we're getting this year, correct?
Correct. That's the current available balance in the account.
So after we get to 52,000 or 50,000, we should be at about 112,000 a year.
Give or take, that's correct.
So we're sitting well right now.
Thereabouts. Wait till you get to the budget.
Jeff, you had a question?
Actually, too, if we have that much money, how come we haven't paid our lanes and bills? We're sitting on the money or what?
It's their billing. We actually had to call them and say, hey, we never paid you. And they're like, you didn't? We're like, no.
That was their error.
So it was just, they just never, they never billed us. They accounted for it, but they never billed us. So,
Wasn't there a situation where we also gave them a check, but they never cashed it or something like that?
yeah, they have, no, they never even, did.
Yeah, so actually what happened was I had a conversation with them because we had not had any transactions from them and they had our credit card. And I was expecting them to either contact one of us to make payment, to request payment or to process the credit card. They never did it. So I eventually got a hold of them this summer or tried to and said, hey, what's going on? And they're like, oh, we'll have to look into it. So they looked into it, never got back to me. I called them again. Oh yeah, yep, there's an outstanding balance. And I said, but the problem is you said that I paid 2,000 to the, for the down payment. It never cleared our bank. It never even showed up. And they just like, well, you have to talk to your bank. Well, I guess that's free money to us. So I'm just calling it a closed matter. They're considering we paid them and our bank doesn't show we ever did. So that's on their end. And then the difference, basically they emailed out once a billing and it had the wrong address, physical address and the wrong name on it. So I don't know if that ever went anywhere. I don't know if anybody ever got that, but I told them to change the address and the contact person. I don't know if they ever actually did. So I called them back and said, hey, I still haven't paid because I haven't received a billing. How much do I owe? And they quoted me the same amount as before. And I said, okay, and I'll write a paper check because otherwise they're going to charge us something like 3% to process a credit card. So I guess it works out for us because we're going to save a significant amount of money in the percentage of the processing fee. So all I'm at this point is as of Monday, I'll be sending a check to Chuck and Chuck just signs the check and then forwards it in the envelope I have to them and they'll cash it hopefully in the next month and we can clear it off our books. But that's where we're at with them. And that's why it's taken so long is that they literally have forgotten about us basically is the way it sounds to me. And I'm assuming at some point they would try to settle up their books here and realize we haven't paid them and get back with us.
No, go ahead, Jeff.
This might be just my, not paying attention, but, survey, $2,200, we sent out that with surveys, and I don't remember seeing that, I'm just curious. That must be out.
I don't know, all of mine are being filtered out. I have to search for it.
So we're going up the survey to make it work out that way. That's, but I haven't seen that many of them, so. I think we sent out 8 this year. Okay, just curious.
That's the important one right there. All right. Do we have any more discussion for Josh and the treasurer's report? Dave?
One question, Josh, did you, has Kajabi been paid for this next cycle?
Nothing has hit our account that it's paid out of our bank account. So if you have that switched over, If you could check and see what the date that's coming out, we can just kind of prepare for that.
I have not, but I'll talk more about that during my report.
Okay.
Are we discussing this at this time or just the other thing?
Is that what you're saying? What's that?
So in his report, is this part of the report that we're
No, where
talking
is
about?
that later?
No, this is gonna be the new budget, which is underneath new items.
Okay. That's what.
All right, any other discussion for Josh and his treasurer's report?
Is there, well, I guess, when was the last time we had an audit?
Last time we had an audit, that's a Josh question. Josh, remember last time we were officially audited by an outsourced or an outside source?
It would be prior to when I took over. I don't know when Scott did it last. And that would have been before 2018.
Yeah, the last audit was my convention. I can't remember what year it was. 18. That was the last time we did an audit. And, yeah, we haven't had one since, I guess.
Do you have anybody in line for that?
Josh, do you have somebody in line to do an audit this year?
Our tax accountant said that he has a group that he deals with for audits that we can contact if we would like to use a third-party source.
Okay, because I know you audit it internally every year, correct?
Right.
But to do an external audit,
We gotta protect Josh.
Yeah, I gave you, I think it was our last meeting. I gave you 3 sources that could do the audit.
Yep.
So I don't know if you guys reported it. I don't see it in the minutes anywhere, so.
I'll put it this way, to protect not only Josh, but the board too. Board, to make sure, and I know everything.
Especially getting the 50,000.
Yeah, they'll yank 50,000 if we're not audited. It'd be treated just like a CT program, you know all about that. They audit those programs too.
so Josh, do you want to kind of make sure that we get before the end of the year, end of our fiscal year, get somebody to audit it from our tax accountant?
I can do that since he'll be operating with the tax documents anyway. We can just have him first of all, see what they'll cost to utilize that third-party source. And then if it's within our budget of what we've proposed for taxes, we could just use that additional for the audit itself.
It really doesn't matter what it's gonna cost, it has to get done.
Yeah. Is
It has
it,
to get done by law.
is it in the budget by chance?
I do not believe we put that in the budget.
Josh, thank you for your time and efforts.
You are most welcome, Joe. There is a line in there for our taxes and, yeah, it's auditor to IRS taxes and the LARA, and that is right now $600. Last time we paid the tax for taxes to be done was 480 or something. So it does leave some extra to work with. Plus we have some miscellaneous funds that we're budgeting. So if it does go over that by some, we can cover that. If it's not more than what the taxes cost, we have the money in there to run an audit.
So we do have a little bit of room in there to make it happen.
All right, one of the things, I don't know what the timing is supposed to be. I'm sure the Constitution speaks to that, but at least every time we change treasurers, there should be an audit between. It's been a while since we changed treasurers, but it doesn't sound like we did an audit when it changed from Scott Murray.
Well, I went
So
to
we
Scott,
need
and
to
I did
catch
it
up.
for a year, and then Josh took over after that. And there was not one after me.
Yeah.
As far as I know, there wasn't a couple years before Scott.
So Josh, we really need to get that one done
I
this
think
year,
this is the year, I agree.
especially if our tax auditor, or tax person will do it have a third party do it. Let's do that. Any other discussion for Josh Burkhardt? Treasurer report. All right, all those in favor of accepting his meeting minutes or his report, all those say aye. All opposed, say nay. All right, moving on to our next one, we have Adam Carr, Convention Chairperson Report.
Okay, we covered a lot of it. We try and run conventions in 3-year cycles. So we know the plan was always Lansing Center, OCC, SVSU. We got ourselves into a little jam with OCC because they just won't produce a contract. So it sent us scrambling, and that's how we ended up on the Wings Event Center in Kalamazoo. I am anticipating between $30,000 and $40,000 for that convention all in, which will give us $10,000 from the $50,000 for Mike's business, which Josh, Chuck, and I met to go over costs. And I am a big proponent of lowering the convention cost to supplement some of that $50,000 to cover our annual budget expenses. So that was kind of the hope in doing that. We don't know how long we're gonna have the $50,000. The Lansing Center is not a viable option for us anymore. It simply costs too much money. We would be in the red had we run the convention this year on Mike's membership and project entry alone. So without that 50,000, we would have been in the red. And that's a bankruptcy is a quick way to end an organization. So we're not gonna do that. So we are gonna go to Wings Event Center hopefully this year, SVSU probably next year, and then we're looking at Lansing Community College for the 3rd year. So we can be in Lansing, or we may switch the SVSU and the Lansing because next year is the election, and we like to be in Lansing for election stuff. So that's where we're at with the convention. I'm hoping to get things finalized. It's not a perfect environment for Mike's. There's 2 separate arenas that are connected by a vestibule. So we're probably gonna end up putting woods in one and rock metal in the other, so that the trailer people can get in and out. All the carry people, people who bring stuff like that can go through. There's a million doors to get in. Trailers are the biggest concern. There are 3 overhead doors in the one arena and 1 overhead door in the other. So the 3 will be the woods entry. The metals will be the other. We are not going to allow people to bring trailers in the arena. You can, but for traffic flow patterns, we are not going to do that. So it's going to be important to get to our membership that they're going to have to bring dollies or carts or something to bring that stuff in. I know it's heavy. I get it. But it's just not a good setup to bring trailers in, so there's that. The upstairs has a full restaurant bar, which I would like to do for our social gathering. Chuck and I talked, and once we get to open discussion, I really need some input from the group. We had discussed about moving the social event from Thursday to Friday. And we talked about doing that so that the people working the floor on Thursday can participate in the social activities on Friday. What that would mean is that we would have to take the awards social and move that to right before the project awards. So we would have more people, because that is our biggest gathering of people when they come to pick up projects. So that 11 o'clock time frame, we go through the awards, and then we go through all the student awards. So there wouldn't be a dinner and drinks and that sort of stuff with that, which is a far cry from shirt and ties like we used to do. So the board has to be okay with doing that. Thursday is going to be a social in Kalamazoo. So we're gonna pick maybe a restaurant or two that are close by. We can go and have beverages and build community and have a social gathering on Thursday in the evening. So the other thing that's not totally great about the environment is they realistically only have 2 spaces for the sessions, and we really need 3 because we have the drafting CAD competition, which is going to require space, and then we have the student leadership competition, which is going to require some space too. So we may have to be a little bit flexible with that and hang some curtains. Obviously, the CAD one is quiet. They just sit there and click away on their computers and do work and don't talk. The other one is just a panel with 1 person, so it's relatively quiet. So what we might do is divide that area with curtains and set them far apart and then have the separate spaces for the sessions. Hold on, we're not discussing yet. So there is that logistic kind of issue that we're gonna have to work through for the convention this year. But other than that, I think it's gonna be great. We are looking at 17, 20, we're looking about 37,000 square feet of floor space. So we should have plenty of room to maneuver everything, which would be really good. That is my report. I submit. Open for discussion. Right?
Open for discussion. No?
Got what he's gonna
Go ahead, Dave.
So Jeff asked, has anyone looked into Kalamazoo Expo Center?
No, that was actually discussed during our breakfast this morning. And I have no problem looking into it. I'm just gonna say though, if we look into another place, that might push us back.
Yeah.
And we need to get this thing out as soon as possible. So it's not that we're against it, we're just, eventually, we do need to make a decision. Push this out. So we appreciate the input. But like I said, eventually we do need to put our foot down and say, all right, this is what we're doing.
No, I agree. I agree.
Where is the CAD competition to be at?
In the event center, Queens Event Center.
On the floor?
No, it'll be in a, it's actually gonna be upstairs.
Okay.
Are you gonna have the vendors on the circle hallway?
There's a connecting vestibule between the 2. We may put the vendors there, so when people walk back and forth.
Because I know when they have like craft shows and stuff, they just put everybody around the top circle area that they can go from booth to booth to booth to booth.
You're talking in the arena part?
What's that?
You're talking in the arena part?
Yeah.
Yeah, we're not renting that space.
Oh,
We're renting we're looking at the 2 on the north side, not the main arena.
okay.
So one's
How
like
big is that?
Make the annex. like-
37,000.
yeah, or something like that, and then the curling.
Big.
place.
Like open to both arenas, that's to do there.
Yes, there's
So
an
it's all one-
upstairs and a downstairs, and open to both. The construction competition, they moved the bleachers, and the construction competition is gonna be on the Woods show floor. Yeah, like on the side,
10 spaces. It's
10 spaces,
20 by 20, right?
10 by 10. Aren't they 10 by 10?
No.
Are they 20 by 20? Yeah, there's plenty of room. It's a good size space.
It's a big space. We can make some magic happen.
And
Yeah, it's always a task, to figure these things out.
the awards, somebody's bleachers sit there, they can sit up for the awards.
No,
No.
No, because if we push the bleachers back, the construction trades competition, all that stuff is gonna be, the bleachers
Well,
are
they'll be.
on Saturday.
we're probably gonna do the awards upstairs.
upstairs.
There's a
by
huge, where we're
vendors.
gonna have our vendors lunch. It's a really big area. And that's probably where we're gonna do the awards. Because we'll have all the chairs up there and everything, and then we'll just have, you know, the podium.
All that stuff will be gone by Friday night.
All that stuff.
Construction stuff will be gone.
I think, the awards on the Saturday morning is probably a good idea. All the big awards, for the membership end.
You're talking Earl Liddell and those awards.
Yes,
Yeah, okay.
yeah.
Yeah, that's what we kind of were
Nope,
thinking.
I like, yeah, I think that's a good idea.
And then move the social.
The downside is you're not gonna get that pomp and circumstance that goes with it, but the upside is that you're gonna probably get more.
I think you're gonna get more people, more
More recognition.
Yeah, I think that's, yeah.
Can I say one thing about the awards, though? Can we get those double checked ahead of time?
Sure.
Yeah, that's embarrassing.
You know what I'm talking about. And
Absolutely.
I don't want to throw anybody under the bus because I know everybody works hard. But we need to get that all double checked ahead of time. I don't know what to say anything more than that because I don't want to disparage anybody, but we do need, that needs to happen, I think, this year.
Needs to be right.
Yeah,
All our group needs to be in a group.
yeah.
Can I ask what happened?
Names are
Kind
spelled.
Names of,
Kind of designated the president, the vice president as the clearinghouse for all of the awards.
Yeah.
That person should be in touch with all of the chair people in the awards. Just making sure everything works, and that really dates back to about 2000. We had an awardee who didn't buy a banquet ticket. Started around until the last minute, and then didn't show up, should have walked in. And I thought it just went like that. So that's why that kind of came and went when it works.
Yep.
But that's a good option, okay, everybody clear through the president or the vice president. If you want to use them.
And I know that last year, I can't speak specifics about what happened because I'm not sure, but I know that last year was a little difficult trying to reach out, or I heard it was difficult trying to reach out to our different committees to get them to work together and make it happen. So I know that was a issue last year in talking with our person that organized last year. So, but we will, as long as we keep on getting better and moving forward. Yep. All right, any more discussion for Adam and his convention chair report? Dave, do we have a, Dennis?
I got something.
There's a point sometime today where it doesn't fit, but I'm gonna say it right now. Now I lost my train of thought, sorry. It was gonna be, let me come back. I'm sorry.
Okay.
I would like to add something. I think the work that Joe did on this list is excellent with the past presidents, and where we really need support on this team is finding judges. We have a person who is running a subcommittee for professional development for the convention, but we need, and retired teachers are excellent for it. We need people to get on the phone, look around Kalamazoo and calling and saying, hey, will you give us some judges? It's too much for Kevin. And the fact that Joe has this list together and maybe can organize that effort or someone to organize.
I'm gonna point to you, and you got your hands full, I know, because you get two different jobs. Everybody here does. But still, I put this together because we have a unique situation, because now COVID is over. And everybody's starting over, literally starting over, whether we got new teachers, all of you got new students. So what a great opportunity to really try to get lights back to what it used to be, is get the help that you all need, that's for sure. I know we've all been in those positions. And you talk about a wealth of knowledge with this list. It's amazing what these people can do and have done in the past.
And being in Kalamazoo, getting judges should not be an issue at all.
We still need a concerted effort to make it happen.
No, I know.
So
We also have,
I've got a book of business cards from Kalamazoo.
we also have Jeff Wycrick, he's over at Portage Northern. He might be able to help us out in that area.
He does have
Just like
questions in
smart
chat too.
Boy, Rob, way to just volunteer me there.
I did. I knew you were on. That's why I said that.
You're welcome,
Hey,
Jack.
so that's what David, that's what I was gonna bring up is I'm right there in Kalamazoo in the heart. We've got my program, Portage Central's program, and then all of our middle schools have a program, and we're the only ones in the county that have a woodworking program or an industrial arts program. And I'm sure I can drum up our guys to go ahead and help out with anything that needs to be helped out for the convention in the Kalamazoo area. So feel free to send me an email. I put it in the chat. I emailed David with my new updated email. I know the old guys there. I've been around for a while, but disappeared for a little while when I was doing construction trades. So feel free to pass my information around to whoever needs it. And I'm more than welcome. Or I'm more than willing to help out. And I'm sure my department will be more than willing to help out as well.
Thank you, Jeff.
Thanks, Jeff.
Yep.
I guess in years past, we used to have a local convention chair. Now, what is it called? Local Convention
Yeah.
chair. And it sounds like Jeff could be a good volunteer for that as a local convention chair, just to be the point person for local
Because he knows
events,
the area.
coordinating, because he knows that area. And Marvin sounds like he could be an assist for that.
Or like maybe Marvin and Jeff would work together.
Correct.
Judges.
That's what I mean, and they, yeah. something along that line.
Because we actually used to do that.
We have plenty of.
We always had a person in charge of it, wherever the conference was at, like it was in Lansing.
Yep.
We had a person that was in charge of the conference right there. That's where everybody reported to.
Yeah, typically it was a local teacher that was in the area.
And let them report back to you because you're in charge, so you know what's happening with the people and the contact. One aspect is, as I called everybody on this list, pretty much. I've got a few people I'm playing phone tag with, but I think all but one, they all wanted to be here. And I think one said, well, probably, I don't have time right now. But they all will like to help in one way or another. That's the beauty of it. You're talking about people that have gone out of the organization, retired, whatever. And it's fantastic to see something like that happen and how much people do care about this.
I'm gonna, I know it's not popular, but I'm gonna say it anyways. I'm gonna continue to encourage this board to land on one convention location rather than moving around. I know you like to move around, but just for simplicity thing, the construction teachers conference runs so well, and part of it is because they're not reinventing the wheel every year.
Right.
You know, if we're just gonna land on one place that's priced right and suits our needs, we can have the same judges come, we can have the same setup, we can have the same everything. And I'd really like to take it there before I leave this position.
We talked about that this morning.
Yeah,
Yes.
what about one place
is
for
important.
like a 5-year cycle?
Yeah, I'd like to make it one place personally.
MCTA has
Yes.
been one place
No,
for
Dave.
30 years.
Dave's on something like yes, we're gonna start some one place and we're gonna try and keep it there every year. But on the same note, if their price spikes, then we're gonna have to find someplace new. You know what I mean? They still have to be open to new places, but yes, consistency is something that as an executive board, we've been working on. And so having it in one place, or I know that the executive board was kind of more along the lines of 2 places, but as long as we keep some kind of consistency and don't reinvent the wheel, I think that's exactly what we want to move forward with.
What you'll find out.
I'd like to jump in for a second. I agree with the statement of keeping it at one location, but I would like to see it bounce back and forth on a cycle like we talked about. And then in negotiations for contracts for stuff like that, we can negotiate in, a 5-year price, and then reevaluate after that cycle. But, being on the west side of the state, it's tough to get students to the east side of the state. And that's the only reason that I'd like to see it, maybe every 5 years rotate. But, the more, just like Joe said with the MCTA, it's been at Shanty Creek for 30 years. It just, that's where we know to go. That's, we know the people there, and it's like home every year in February. So, that's just my 2 cents, but that's my opinion.
Well, your opinion is well noted, and you'll find out that the people that go to MCTA is consistently between 110 to 130 teachers every year, bar none. Okay? And they will go to great lengths to get, I don't care what the weather is, and it's usually snowing. Wherever it is in the state of Michigan, they find their way to get there one way or another because they enjoy it so much.
It used to be, we did have a set places, Catlin Hotel, Grand Rapids. And the conference was there every single year. Then they went into construction, remodeling mode. The cost went up. And that's when we started rotating different places. We went up to Traverse City and we were just going we were even in Port Huron one year.
That was
Yeah,
actually.
that was before the pamphlet. That was
Yeah.
during that
That
time.
was during the-
Yeah, that was back when I was in college.
We did downtown Saginaw, and then we did Port Huron, then we did. where-
But mostly it was
Grand
at
Rapids.
the Hamlin.
Yeah, that was home.
Yeah, and I think you're right, Adam. We need to go to maybe 2 venues.
Well, we
Just
tried.
go back and forth, try it out, see how it works.
Any other discussion for Adam?
Not to drag anything on, but had a meeting up in the UP, with some teachers retired. And I happened to, the guy who rents right next door, he's in his 70s. And got talking to him, he knew a couple of, talked about his industrial arts teacher, that way back when. And then he talked about his competition. I said, wait a minute, you had a competition, what was it? Oh, he entered a project in the MIES at the time, and that was 1960. So he talked to the group beforehand and explained his experiences. I thought it was really cool. Find out.
there. That's good.
It was really good.
Very good.
Made his own soldering iron. Scratch. Trucks.
Oh, this organization impacts students' lives all over. the state.
That's the point I'm making. Plus, we can also have him as a speaker.
Oh, and one additional thing, Pantlin's now the Amway, and the boss is not supportive of public education and teachers, so that's not an option anymore. So don't even think about going back.
That was way too.
Well, I know it is, I know it is, but I'm gonna say, we don't ever want to go back, because you gotta watch who we're doing these venues with. So I think Saginaw Valley.
Yeah, we'll take that one.
Any other discussion for Adam Carr and his convention report? Anything online?
Nope. I move to accept
Hey,
this
Dave,
report.
Can you turn up the volume?
That's maxed out.
I go.
Sorry.
All those in favor of accepting Adam's report, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, say nay. That being said, we're going to carry his report and move on to our commercial exhibits report. Rob Lindsay.
All right, I didn't prepare a report today because I don't have a detailed spreadsheet on money that was coming in and coming out for advertisements, booths, etc. Josh said he would have it ready for me for the next meeting. That's good. But there's some other things I do want to mention. I just received 2 full-page advertisements from AWFS at 2 days. So they're doing 2 full pages of advertising. And she said she was going to rent a booth from us at the next convention, which is good, to promote that. And what it is, it's a student competition, fresh wood. That's what she's pushing for. So that's going to be in our journal. Okay, and one of the things that, and then we had architectural, AWFS means architectural, woodwork, and furniture suppliers is what it is. Really a great convention. I've been to it many times, as well as down in Atlanta, Georgia, there's another one. We also got AP Laser. They just donated, they're now a platinum member. They donated $4,999 to Mike's. Okay, and I've already sent the check to Josh. The check from AWFS is on the way. I think they're going to try and do it with credit card or whatever, PayPal. But I do need from all of you to help me recruit new advertisements for the Journal. Let me tell you why. Right there, just the money we brought in from 2 advertisers, plus Walt Harvey's gonna be donating another $3,000. You're talking over $10,000 worth of money to Mike's. So if everybody takes a part in their areas, electricity and electronics, metal and forging and foundry, stuff like that, printing. If everybody in their areas can recruit just one person, maybe 2, we can raise $50,000, $60,000, $70,000 in advertising for the Journal. Or maybe get more platinum members. A lot of the platinum members that are on the website right now are inaccurate. They haven't donated money in a long time. In fact, they parted ways because of the auto competition. Now being at Ferris State, so those people aren't really giving us money anymore. So I don't know what they're doing with it. The other thing is, and this is for Rick, because this is important for me too. The Journal is on hold. And in our contract with the people that are advertising, we told them we would give them 2 printed copies, which is the post-convention and the pre-convention journals, not the middle one. The middle one that comes out in November, December, whenever that comes out, the winter issue. That was supposed to be an email one, which is good. But I really need those journals to promote us, because what I do, I put the journal in a package with the letter, with the rates, and I mail it. I do not use email. Because as you said, people are not hitting on emails. A lot of them delete them. They look up, they don't read them. But I noticed last year when I was running booths, people were ignoring my emails. So I finally did a mail out. And then they started answering me. Said, yeah, we'll run a booth, we'll do one, that kind of thing. So that proves that people are not reading emails. They get so many a day. They're getting hundreds a day, some of these businesses. So what I need from you guys is, and I mentioned this at the summer meeting, I need everybody to write their articles. So Rick will get the Journal printed. And he's waiting for some people, and I'm not pointing fingers at anybody. Okay, I am not. But to make money for this group, we need to have that printed journal, and Rick can't print the journal because there's some articles not in yet. Mine was back in right after the convention, like 2 weeks after the convention. So that's done. But it was also good for another reason, because I just got the AWFS one. So I'm glad the journal wasn't printed yet, because then it wouldn't be in the journal. But it's going in now. I do need your help getting vendors. And what I don't want is somebody to say, well, call this company. I need the contact person. I need the emails, the address, stuff like that, because I don't know who to call. I just don't. So don't just throw names at me. It would help if you made a phone call and asked if they were sponsors, because you're dealing with that vendor. That brings money into this group. And I think eventually I want to get this up to we had it up to 19 vendors last year. I want to get it up to 30 vendors. That's a lot of money. And then if we get them put an ad in the journal, it's even more. And one other thing, and I know some of you guys are blocking me out on this, but I do need a membership directory. Because it's kind of like Tool House. He said, that's why we come to your convention. And the same thing with Wolverine Lumber. That's why we come to your convention, LL Johnson, because we come to your convention to support you. But we don't have enough people, even the way you set up your aisles last year, forcing everybody to come through the exhibits area. We don't have enough contacts to make it worth our while. I've heard that from 3 vendors now. We need a membership directory. You don't have to put emails in it, but I need addresses and names in schools so that these guys can mail their brochures or whatever they're going to do, their advertising, their marketing, whatever they're doing to these schools, so they will come back again. But we might have a few people that are upset that may not come back. There's a couple upset right now. So I do have to have a membership directory, and it used to be, we had a membership directory, a printed copy. I still have one that has an orange cover on it. This is Mike's membership directory. That's back from 20 years ago, maybe longer.
No, we had it.
No, I'm talking about the one I have. The one I have.
Yeah.
No, but it's really important that these commercial exhibitors get that information. That's how they run their business.
Well, you and our teacher.
Yeah, and our teachers communicating with each other too, you know?
We're still in a report.
Hey, Rob,
Dave, all,
Well, that was my report. That was my
We're
report.
waiting,
hold
hold
on,
on.
we are still in a report, so we need to make sure that Rob finishes his piece. When he's finished with his piece, he can say, I need this to be submitted for approval, and then we'll open up the discussion.
Okay, so I need this to be submitted for approval, because I am done now. I'm not second rant and rave. Support.
Okay, so we have the supported and seconded. Go ahead, Dave, and then we'll get to Jeff.
So one, Rob, there's one part I want to wait for my report to ask. Two, if, so kind of going back to the membership, and I know the board has had some discussion about this already. If the directory of our members, like essentially a mailing list,
Yeah,
is what they're after,
yes.
can we just set a flat price and give that? Like, if we're gonna, if that's what they're after, can we just be open and say, we're gonna sell our email list? Because that's really what they want. Let's not beat around the bush and say they're a vendor or a sponsor or any of that. Because if you're talking like Tool House specifically, they were simply after our mailing list. Let's just be open about it and say we're selling.
But that's not true,
But
because they
that's
come to every convention. Tool House is always there.
It's not just an email. That's one of the added perks of it.
Yeah.
They
To
want
me,
hear
that's the-
for his things, but-
Yeah, well, we'll lose them at the convention too.
Yeah, but do they really, I mean, I guess my question is, what is their intent to actually, because Tool House did make a big stink, and I get where they're coming from.
It wasn't just them, Wolverine was doing it.
But that's my question is,
They're a business. Their number one goal is to make money.
I get that, but are they coming to us just for
Contacts.
contacts?
No,
or-
L Johnson comes to support Mike, so does Tool House. They're all here to support us.
Right, and I guess that's the thing, I guess I want it to be clear to our membership. One, that we're doing this. And two, like where their emails are going, and to make sure that people aren't putting personal ones in there. I'm gonna talk about that portion more during my stuff. But I guess I wanted us to, I think we should have a directory. I agree with you guys on there, but what we sell or give out to the vendors, I think we need to be clear
Well,
about.
So Rob,
You know, since 1977, that's when I was first in Mike's, and I was the RAO and all that good stuff for many, many years. We've always provided our whole membership with the directory and the vendors that showed up at our show. They got a directory, and it's actually in the contract. You guys told me to take it out of the contract, but I'll be honest with you, I refuse to do that. I'm not taking it out of the
so
contract.
Rob, here's my question. You hit on something that just kind of piqued my interest. You said there's something about just giving the schools and the names of teachers and where they work. That's all public knowledge, which means we don't have to say, hey, we're gonna sell it or anything. So why don't we just give all of our vendors, all of our teachers' names with their school that they're in and the address of the school? That way we suffice with all public knowledge. We're not getting anything private. And we suffice everything that we're talking about.
Exactly.
So there we go.
I want to jump in for a second, Chuck.
And their
There you go.
emails,
Just
their
one
school
sec.
emails are the same. They're public knowledge. You go on,
I-
it's transparent. You're allowed to go on the website, look up the teachers.
Right, so any member right now that can log into the website can go to the membership directory and get all the information that you have posted on there for free. All they have to do is be a member of Mites.
Correct.
If it
Well,
works.
sort of. Until we resolve this issue, I took the directory down.
Rob, I hesitate to give out emails.
That's okay. We just need
The
addresses.
only reason I say that I hesitate to give out emails is because what Dave said earlier. And I can speak for me. When we go through and I get 150 emails a day, I start to skip over, just click, and start to delete. So I have no problem, and I don't think any of us here have a problem giving out, hey, this teacher is at this school, this is the school's address. Because that's fine. They're be able to send their stuff to the mail, everything's fine. So I'm fine, deal. Can we do that? Because this is an issue that's gone on way too long, and I'm tired of discussing it. So if
I'm tired of asking.
if that will suffice you and your vendors, and that's something that we can do, then that's our solution and we need to do it and stop discussing this.
Yeah, so what I was gonna say during my report is that I am going to redo the member directory. Right now, we've been asking to collect home addresses and phone numbers for the journal. Well, if I can't, because people are mixing addresses up, I can't filter them out. And we can't be giving out home addresses and personal cell phones and things like that.
If they're,
So I'm only gonna
They
ask,
submit 'em.
but that's, let me
go
finish
ahead,
here.
Dave, finish it up.
If we can't sort them out, and I'm only gonna have one address. If you're giving it to Mike's, then you're saying we can give it out to vendors and all that.
Put that in writing and when you do
That's,
the registration.
that's what I'm gonna be doing, and
So
that's
the
why,
whole thing is, I've got like L&L Johnson, they've got discounts right now, they want to give to teachers at the beginning of the school year. And they don't have any addresses or anything.
So when we do on the registration form, when they give in all that information, if a teacher's dumb enough to put their personal address where it says school address, that's their problem. So that's what I'd like. I'd like you to have that form. You can still, I'd still collect both addresses because that's important information for us. But when we go ahead and filter out and give that list to Rob to hand out, we just give out their school address. And like I said, if they mess up on that part, that's just them not following directions. That's not on us. That's on the teacher. All right,
I think Pete might have to weigh in on this, but personally, I'd rather have just one address to worry about. Having the second one is just more data processing we have to do. Pete and I would,
I have one
Jeff.
thing, because we get journals in the summer sometimes. If we only have our school address, nobody is getting that journal.
Right.
I'm not driving 76 miles to.
Jeff Wycran, did you get your question in?
Yeah, I guess in the end, maybe it's as simple as making it an option for people when they join MITES to be on a vendor mailing list, to make it public. I don't know. I don't know what the right answer is. It sounds like it's a heated debate there, but I personally would rather vendors come to me than me have to take time to seek them out. I'd rather the emails. That's just me though. That's my personal opinion.
I mean, all the years I was vice president, as you call today, president-elect, back then president, then commercial exhibits chairman, and now the marketing guy. I never had a single complaint from anybody about addresses and emails. Never once. And even in this organization all the years since they started email stuff, never had a complaint. I've been around this group a long, long time. And I know what's going on the inside, but I've never had anybody ever complain about their address or their email or phone number. I don't care about phone numbers because we don't have anybody call them. But nobody ever complained, and that's what our directory used to have it. I mean, consistently up until like
But we never shared.
4
our
years
direct-
ago.
We never shared our directory with anybody outside of the membership.
Well,
Yeah.
Joe, did you have a question?
I do.
We weren't supposed to, if we did.
Right. And everything is in Excel, I presume?
no. It's in a spreadsheet, but not Excel. It's online.
Can you lock those attributes out completely? But online, it'd be only the members get to, it, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so that's fine. And that's basically the same as having a hard copy. So I can go online and find that document and, okay, I want to get in touch with this gentleman over here and be able to converse or email or whatever. Right. So that could be a electronic file, give it to a flash drive to each one of the vendors with only that information as permanent, I should say.
We could, yeah. I guess it just comes down to what does the board want as our official stance?
Is it more of the board? I guess my question was, as far as the emails, you stated you go through 150 emails, and I remember all that crap. Delete. Well, waste your time. Is that the consensus of the membership?
I would assume, yes. You know what they say
Or
about
is it more of,
assuming.
I'm gonna try to point fingers,
No,
or is
that's
it
fine.
more of the boards? Of that,
We're trying to protect our members.
You know, we,
yeah,
from overload. Because teaching today is not the same as teaching was 5 years ago.
sure it is, come on.
it's the same, it's just.
Yes, exactly,
That's right.
exactly.
Get the
All right.
same-
You know, we talked at
Yes.
some point, we talked at one point to, you know, if a vendor wants to share something with MITS, they send their advertising to membership or to Dave, and they forward it to the rest of them. And
That
then
might
that's-
also be part of our problem.
But how many times does that happen?
None.
Probably zero, yeah.
Well, Pete was doing a lot of emails. Well, here. all that. Pete Tork. He was saying that membership, yeah. membership.
When I was convention chair, I had access to all the emails. And I was always promoting the conference through email. I did it all the time. In fact, I sent something to you, Joel, last night. It's something we used to promote sites. It was through that picture that I put in there. Oh, you didn't read your email. Maybe it was in the text message.
Rob, what if we were to tell our vendors, anything you want to get to membership, you send to us, and we will put it in our monthly newsletter. So whatever advertisement you want, it goes out monthly, so they could send something every month if they wanted to, you know? And we can just add that to our newsletter, so it makes our newsletter a page long. We put it on the back page. You're shaking your head.
I'm shaking my head. I don't like it.
Why?
Why? Because the newsletter is something quick for just full of information for our members to get things across. So we don't have all this extra crap. The whole point, not crap, which is a bad thing for me to say, but all this extra stuff for us people to wait through. I want this to be quick, simple. Here's your information. I mean, I don't even want articles in this thing. Just because article is not information straight to the point of what we need to do, what we need to know. So, one more copy. Jeff, you have something?
I was gonna say back at the convention, I know Rob, Pete, myself, have talked about the fact. I believe all of us as members have access to everybody else's information, right? So if we sell the vendorship, or the vendors see for X amount of money, and they are actually an adjunct or whatever you wanna call it, guest member for the year, they can access anybody on the website, they want anybody else. It'll say Just Legal, Maple Valley School of the Woods, and Johnson's Lumber Company's not gonna contact anybody but the people that are in the Woods program. If they have membership, this whole thing's like that. They have the same access we have.
Well, what they're asking for is they want a list because they don't want to go into the book. So they want the simple, easy, quick.
There's a list there. They just have to work on it.
There's an email list there.
Well, they push out a lot of emails.
But.
I mean,
keep
let's
on-
say they
we
pick
can
up
keep on
membership.
scrolling- We can keep on scrolling around and come up with all these different ideas, but unless we decide on something to move forward with. Like I said, I put forward a good motion. Hey, we can give out the names and the schools and the school address. And that would suffice everything that you're asking for.
Yes.
And that's something that we can do right now, right?
No, it's
No,
not something
we don't
can do right
collect
now.
school addresses unless people put them in.
So underneath our new, because we still have people that are gonna be registering for this year.
Yeah, that's starting probably in the next couple of, well, as soon as I get this year's registration stuff.
So we get this year's registration, that needs to be on it. And then as soon as our list gets done, can you take that and dump it into a spreadsheet so that Rob has access to that spreadsheet? Okay, there's our solution. It's simple, it's
Perfect.
easy, it moves us forward, and we don't have to keep on spiraling.
Another thing is by having addresses for schools. If a teacher retires, then we can be sending information to those schools too,
Correct.
to recruit new
Whoever
members.
takes over their place.
So in other
And
words, it's beneficial to us because, okay, all Woods teachers, all drafting teachers, just send out to their school. Even if it's a name, it's gonna be forwarded to the next teacher.
Beautiful.
And so memberships are now open, send out the thing, the school gets it, they put the new teacher's name on it, it goes in their mailbox and they get it. And we're inviting somebody that's brand new that we didn't even know was out there.
STEM, STEAM, Project Lead the Way, I love it.
Yeah, like when I retired, an email, it wouldn't do anybody any good because it says address not found. Because I retired, they deleted it.
Yeah.
All right. Do we have any more questions for Rob and how it relates to his executive, or I'm sorry, I always do executive, his commercial exhibits?
You almost had it right.
Every time I say executive, I'm like, oh, exhibits, commercial exhibits.
It's okay.
All right, so with that being said, all those in favor of accepting Rob's report, say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, say nay.
Come on, somebody's got to oppose.
Deal. So with that being said, we accept. With that being said, we accept his report. We move on to the REO chairperson, which is me. I have a very limited report, being that we just started. We still don't have 100% sure where our convention is right now, so I haven't even started the emails to get to our REOs to get them to submit their dates and locations. That will be coming up probably as soon as, probably in 2 weeks, I'll send out that email. Also in October, I would like to are planning on doing a REO meeting, probably virtual meeting, so that we can discuss that document I sent out earlier this summer about locating different schools and things in our region. So basically all that, we keep on talking about membership and growing membership and how we can reach out to the schools. Well, no, it's never going to get done if nobody does it. So this is our idea. Our REOs are our bread and butter for our organization. They're the most important people that we have in our organization. So by reaching out to our REOs and having them look inside of their region, they're going to find out all the different counties in their region, and they're going to find all the different school districts in their region, and then they're going to find out what programs are available at all those different schools. So it may take us time, but every little step counts and every little step moves us forward. So we will have all that information here. One question I've been commonly asked is, well, is there some sort of central database? The answer is no, there is not, because not all of our programs are certified. Not all of our programs run through CTE. There is a central database for all CTE programs because of Perkins funding and because of all that extra reports that we have to do. But MITES is not just a CTE type thing. MITES is actually more of a IX kind of thing. We need to reach out to those different programs that are not covered underneath CTE. And that's where this document and this work is going to help us out and help us grow. So I'd like to get that one going, hopefully in October, meet with all of our different REOs so we can go over that document and I can kind of illustrate how we're going to fill this out and how we're going to use that information. So with that being said, I submit my report for approval.
Second.
And we are open for discussion. Dave?
Is this the same document that we had worked with maybe 2 years ago to try and get a list of all the schools?
Nope.
Okay, then never mind then.
I started this document probably, actually Pat and I started this document, I think 3 or 4 years ago. And we were gonna do it right before COVID, and then COVID hit, and we didn't because of COVID. So now I still have the document. I actually expanded it to cover all that stuff. It's on a Google Sheets platform. So it should be easy to use. And just outside of it, I'd like to see us try and spread a little bit more into like those easy documents like Google. As much as I hate Google Sheets and Google documents and everything, it does make life easier to work on because everybody has access to
So
Google.
it's a shared document.
It should be, yep, it is a shared document, and I believe I uploaded it to our shared file system.
Do you want me to set you up a specific folder for some of these things?
We'll talk about that later.
Okay. Well, I'm asking because during mine, I'm gonna try make a push to get all our documents online.
Any other questions for me with REO? Anything online?
Nope.
there's no questions for me. All those in favor of accepting the RAO report, say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, say nay. All right, with that being said, we are moving on after accepting that report to our Rules Committee report. Kevin has not, or couldn't be here because of family things to attend to.
Is that soccer?
I don't want to advertise that for him, but, all right, he did leave us a report. Is that something that we can put into the chat?
As soon as I find it.
So Dave is gonna put that one into the chat, and we're gonna give you guys, let's say, 5 minutes to read through it. Well, it's not up yet, so it takes time. Right. All right. Good. I'm in the same boat you are.
Hey Chuck, you want me to just read this?
What?
His report?
If you want to.
Sure. He wanted you to, but.
I'm not much of a
The
reader.
president is supposed to read the report.
Oh, okay.
All right. I can read the report. Dave was also going to post it in the chat. It says, good morning. I'm sorry that I'll be unable to attend the meeting today in person. I am attending my son's first soccer game, and then we'll be working to build a flow with the class of 2025, the homecoming parade next Friday. I hope everyone is doing well and their school year is off to a good start. An update on where the Rules Committee is at currently. We are waiting for a final decision on the location of the convention so that information can be finalized on the rules document, locations, deadlines, and times. Also, we are waiting on on rule change proposals for divisions, pattern making, AD, and mechanical drafting. Those emails have been sent out. We are currently working with those divisions rep to obtain the information in a timely manner. Otherwise, we will just post the rules document and add those changes for next year. The Rules Committee is meeting next Saturday to discuss possible changes on how we handle the award ceremony and what awards we will be handing out during the ceremony. We will also be going through the trailer to see what we need to order for upcoming convention. I do know we will be ordering regional and state ribbons, animation, signage, and also making sure we have enough category signs for each division. As in the last few years, we have added categories for certain divisions. Last topic of my report, we will be ordering pins for the judges to wear while judging the projects on Thursday. This way, we will be able to identify the judges and also give them a souvenir as a thank you for their time and hard work. That is my report. Kevin Bidwell, Rules Committee Chair.
Good job, Reed.
Hey, I tried.
No second.
Struggle.
Support.
Okay, so now do we need to go through the process because it's not actually here, it's just a written report.
Well, we accept the report.
So we're gonna submit it for approval.
I second.
Got a second? And a motion from Joe, even though that's backwards. And now it's open for discussion.
To add to this, I will be going to Saginaw. Like Kevin says, we will be going through the trailer. We're gonna try to figure out all the new categories that have been added because it looks a little ghetto, having handwritten, different signage, AD1, AD2P, trying to get all that stuff taken care of. Fixing the signage that would show where the areas are located. We also talked about what can we do to make the award ceremony so it's not like, hey, let's get through this as fast as we can, let's get out the door and let's get our vehicles loaded. He was checking into doing a big sign that would be behind the area. He found one I told you the cost, it's like a 20-foot by 20-foot for around 120. That's something we could put up forever. He's talking about trying to get a podium that it's got the Mike's logo on the front. So when we're doing that, if people come up for pictures, not going to the extreme of Skills USA's award ceremony, but trying to get something that is something other than, hey, congratulations, bye, get off the stage next. And so we want to do that. We will be going over the rules. We'll be putting everything new in red on the rules. And we'll probably have to list tentative for this first release because we want to get everything out there as soon as possible. Because teachers are starting to, look at what am I going to enter my kids into already. And so we want to get that out there. But we think we can get everything covered, get the coverings for the tables, figure out what we need to order for that, and get all that taken care of this coming week, Saturday. So that's where we're at.
All right. Sounds good. Is there any discussion for Kevin's report? Anything online, Dave? So, with that being said, all those in favor of accepting Kevin's report, say aye.
Aye.
And all those opposed, say nay. With that being said, that carries, and we are looking for Pete Twerk, membership report. Take it away, Pete.
There we go. Can you hear me? All right, there, can you hear me? We currently have, it's still 150 members. Off the top of my head, I think there's probably like maybe 10 people that did alumni type membership, which would be for anybody that is not in education, a teacher, is the alumni membership. I'm also, by the end of the year, I want to be done with this position, so I'm looking at being done by January, and I have reached out to somebody, so, but yeah, and I feel like this position has changed, and it might go, maybe there's a different direction it needs to go, but I have too many things on my plate. I have other, not that Lions is not my passion, I'll still be in it, I'll still be involved with it. I'll get more involved, help, and be more involved in the competitions that I created last year, but my passions are going in different directions, so, and I just have too many other things going on. I'm involved in too many organizations at too much of a deep level, so, and that's my report. Did you hear me? Did you hear me?
Yep.
Okay.
First off, I'd like to say, part of our
Hey, Pete, before you, okay. Hey, Pete, I had to mute you for temporarily, because we're getting so much feedback. Can you hear us okay? I don't know that he can. Yeah.
Just volunteer to be historian.
Hey,
all right. See what he has to say to that, Dave. While while we're waiting here, does anybody have any questions for Pete when he does get back online?
He's at the end of this year, right?
It's at the end of this year,
Yeah.
so June.
I just need in the next couple of weeks, hopefully, to get all the membership stuff for this year sorted out. Like price, because you had talked about changing membership price and this year's membership form. I don't think he can hear it. We just lost him.
All right, maybe he clicked off. All right.
Jerry? Yeah, I can say.
I was gonna say Jackie asked.
Easy.
Put that in the minutes.
We are being recorded. We are being recorded. Okay. All right. Let's go ahead and table this. That way, if Pete gets back on, we can actually have that conversation with him. Hopefully he gets everything in line. And work on that.
There, how's that?
There we go.
All right. Here's what
Can you hear me now? Felt the feedback? All right, I'll redo my report. I currently stand at 150 regular membership. I think there's around 5 or 6 that are alumni. And anybody that's not in education should be under the alumni membership part. Also, I'm planning on being done by the first of the year. With this position, I have reached out to somebody to take this spot over, but at the same time, I feel there's like changes in the position. It's not the same as it was when I took it over. I'm not sure how many years ago. So I'm involved in too many things. And yeah, that's my report. I don't know.
can you hear us?
I'm gonna have to leave and just use my phone. Okay.
Let's go ahead. Yeah. Pete, can you hear us? From your iPhone?
Can you hear me now? Yes, I can hear you.
We can hear you.
All right.
I can hear you now. Can you hear me?
Pete, basically, for starters of our discussion, once again, I'd like to just thank you for your service. Thank you for helping us out. You've been such a long-standing point in Mike's, and you've been a mentor and a person to look up to for a long time. So you've done a great job at leading this organization. And we just want to thank you for all the different things and services that you've done for us. I know Mike's would not be where it is today if it wasn't for Pete's work. So that being said, does anybody else have any discussion for Pete and his membership?
Yeah, you never say anything like that about me when I resigned the first time.
That's because you didn't resign yet.
I'll think you on. I'll let you know.
Oh.
All right, any questions or comments, concerns, proposed cons or queries for Pete Burke?
Thanks, Pete, for your services.
Thanks for services and friendship.
He's not going.
He's not
Oh, I
dying.
know that, but-
He's still
I'm
hanging
not
out
going
with us.
anywhere.
Sorry for your loss.
All right, so with that being said, all those in favor of accepting Pete's report, say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, say nay. All right, so, and moving forward, his report has been accepted. Moving forward to our CTO report with Dave Weeks.
Okay, I'm gonna slide over to the camera. So I forgot to print copies. I'm just gonna stand back here. You're good. Okay, so, site traffic was up, to about 78 visits per day over the summer. We had an increase, like traffic has been slowly increasing. I am looking into, implementing two-factor authentication for website login for all members for this next year. Because we were getting hit with about 400 to 500, essentially attacks a day. With about 30 to 40 bogus accounts attempted to be created. So I'm gonna have to increase that security. I know it's one more step that people are gonna have to take to log in. But given how much information we have on our website now, it would be, it's a prudent step to take. Professional Development Conference, we wrapped that up 2 weeks ago, last week, something like that. We had 25 members complete the required sessions to get sketches for it. I think we ended up having like 32 people register. So for a first go, that was okay. Current projects, I am in the process of working on a website redesign and update. I've been doing minor stuff that I can do without taking the site down. Because of the Professional Development Conference and registration, membership registration, I'm waiting to take it down until probably after Thanksgiving. It will be down for a week. And that's really for all the facelift and cosmetic stuff. There's a lot of behind the scenes stuff that I can just update while the site is live. So that's where I'm working on right now. I do need updated information for several areas. Like Rob, you were talking about the vendors and the platinum list. I had no idea that information was out of date. So that's been down since the beginning of the summer. I guess you and I have to talk about building a process to kind of keep that up to date, and as different vendors are reaching those different levels, how to get them in there. Also, I want to sit down and update this year's stuff for the vendors, double check all the payment stuff so I can get that up, updated in the next couple of weeks. What else? I need to talk to Pete about, like, he's probably the most important right now about getting this year's membership form and pricing updated. I know he had instead of the tiered membership level, he wanted to move back to 1. I don't know, like, do we have to approve that as the board first?
We can talk about our executive board meeting.
Okay. So I'd like to get that, if we can get that hammered out today, that's great.
Yep.
What else? For the convention system, convention system and project registration, I'm working on getting that form for where it's got your teacher name and all that stuff. Instead of having to type that in, I want it to auto-populate this year, so that, that was something we had planned for last year. We just didn't get to it. And then building a new set of reports so that as soon as we get that data entry done, we can get either PDFs or doc files over to Rick that he can just copy and paste right into the journal. We did this past convention cycle get him the full reports he needed within, it was 2 weeks of the end of the convention. And so he was able to get that stuff out. We did end up finding a couple of data points we had to go back and correct. it was a step forward. I'm happy with that. Other thing, I would like to, so I've been asking for probably 2 years now, what all the different symbols on the Heights logo are, and nobody really knows what they are. I would like to work towards updating the logo, modernizing it, and also getting a vector copy that can be used for a variety of stuff. I can't see that far. This is how you know when you're getting up there. We have one PSD file, but it's I think it's the Michigan Works or White's Works for Everyone logo. So I want to get like the one on the shirts there. I want to get one color, one monochrome, one black and white that we can use for a variety of things. I also want to get, I found in Rob's files that he sent me a Mike's letterhead. I want to get that updated and start using that to get more of our documents that are going out to the public more uniform and consistent. And actually, I can think you get that idea, so I'm not going to steal that one. Student leadership, I want to get that and the professional development conference. And this is why I was asking about Kajabi. That is the underlying system that drives student leadership and the professional development conferences. That was purchased through Michelle. We are paying $5,000 a year for it. I think that's I didn't realize the price tag was that high. I think that's too hefty. I could do that through a system we already have. And I could do single sign-on for our members using our WordPress site, and it would be Moodle. We cannot do that at all with Kajabi. It's just not technically possible. So, yep. And then, yes. I need to have my report accepted.
All right, and open for discussion. Does anybody have questions for Dave and his report?
I just have a correction. The Kajabi cost is 3,000. The other 2,000 was for Searchy, which I believe we decided that wasn't an additional component that we needed.
Okay, so 3,000 for Kajabi.
I guess my question is, do we feel that's a reasonable price, and do we want to continue it? Kajabi is a good system. It does what we want. I just wanted to offer an alternative.
So my question with that one is, if you said WordPress, if we go back to go to WordPress, or go back to WordPress, how is it going to change? How is that? Is it going to be more work? Is it going to be less?
What is your preference?
My thought is ease, because the one thing that we always talk about with our membership is sake of ease. I know that if I have to go, it sounds stupid, if I have to go through 3 different buttons to make a survey, I'm not going to do it where if I can just hit the button and go to survey and it's there. Sounds stupid, but that's also why we have survey mode. So by switching systems, is it going to make things more complicated?
So on my side, it's always going to be the initial setup that's the hard part. After that, it's just kind of maintenance. If we stick with Kajabi, everything stays as it is. Members during the content survey that I sent out over the summer sometime said they really wanted a single sign, like one login.
Right.
To get into both. I cannot do that with Kajabi. If we move to another system, I could do that. That would be really, other than the $3,000 cost, that would really be the only difference.
How much do we pay for WordPress?
Nothing. It comes with our hosting plan
Our hosting plan.
for the website.
Okay. So if we went with Kajabi, do we cut out that hosting plan?
No, we cut out the cost. Kajabi's on a separate plan. We're paying that
We
whatever.
still have the hosting.
Yeah, we're paying that for our website no matter what. This is an add-on that we have had, but we've never used.
So we're saving $3,000.
We're saving $3,000.
Yep.
We should get rid of it then.
Well, right
If
now,
we're not using it, what's the point? I mean, I
Oh,
guess.
wait.
Whatever's easiest
What
for
is
you,
your
Dave.
thought?
on.
I'm
We are
saying
using it.
Is Survey Monkey easier?
Survey Monkey isn't a part of it.
Different
That's a
thing.
whole different thing.
Are you good with the WordPress CMS? Like you feel comfortable?
Oh,
with
we're,
that?
no, it's Moodle versus Kajabi.
I see. So as Moodle is like as a LMS, CMS, whatever it is that you're using.
I'm comfortable with both.
Okay.
What do we pay for Moodle?
No,
And Moodle will be a free option.
yeah, Moodle's the free
In lieu
option.
Of the $3,000 Kajabi.
Okay.
Do we lose all the data we have in Kajabi?
No, I would migrate it all over.
And just to be clear, this is not a this year thing because we need Kajabi this year. This would be a 2024 thing.
Well, we could do it this year. I would just need a month before we open up student leadership to be able to move that stuff over.
What makes your life easiest?
We
We appreciate you.
Student leadership starts.
No,
now,
I mean, it's 6 of one, half dozen of another.
But the student leadership starts now.
right, student leadership is now.
Should this be
Well,
a summer
but I'm
migration?
saying this isn't, not CTSO.
Summer migration.
We can do it over the summer then.
Beautiful.
Okay.
The
Done.
summer migration, I think, makes a lot of sense, you know?
Yep.
I've done a lot of web stuff too, and that's when we're gonna have that's the lull period for everything. I'm just saying, like for your own sanity, I think that would just make a lot of sense, because I know the initial setup, like you said, takes time, and there's gonna be hiccups along the way.
And I think we have a lot of things
You have
to
a job.
focus on first before we get to switching systems to save $3,000.
Okay.
I know that sounds not like something I should say because I like money, but we have more important things that we need to do before we save that $3,000.
We need to make your life as easy as possible.
And for your
Oh,
own
wait.
sanity.
Truth
you
be
really
told,
wanna
I-
do that over the summer?
I already laid the groundwork for it, so whenever we got to it,
Yeah.
I just had to move data. So,
I'm just saying we appreciate you that much. that we
Oh,
just wanna make
I
sure
know.
your job is
But is it something you really want to do over the summer? Don't you need a break in the summer after teaching and everything you're doing?
Rob, you're not helping
I
us
get
out right here,
bored.
bud.
Oh, boy. Shut up, Rob.
Rob, go take your dog out for a walk. Go take the dog out for a walk.
All right.
I will.
Is there any more questions for Dave and CTO report?
I would like to throw in there my 2 cents now. This has nothing to do with the fact that my wife uses Kajabi. I would like to say that just one thing to consider is the fact of the ease of use of the program. So WordPress is a very intense program to learn. It's not something you can just pick up off the street and run with, where Kajabi is a different story. My wife is not technical at all when it comes to anything deal with computer websites or anything of the sort. And she's created her own through Kajabi, able to do billing, any type of purchasing, process payments, and there's just an ease of use to it. So in the event that, let's say, Dave wants to offer out parts of what he's doing for other individuals to pick up, they may likely have to be way more technically savvy than some of us are that are interested in helping. So, like content management and things like that, if you don't have the capacity to understand, the processes of creating a Moodle or a WordPress correction, addition, or site, that's where, for me, Kajabi makes the most sense. If anybody can pick it up, figure it out, and run with it, we're not putting all of our eggs in one capacity basket as far as technology is concerned. And just the amount of things it can do without having to have plugins and things like that. I understand the single sign-on and those type of things. My thought is there has to be a way to create a single sign-on process. Either it's a purchase patch or something to that effect. There has to be a way to do it. Working with the federal government, we have a single sign-on system across the board for almost all of our programs. There must be something out there, but that's just my 2 cents. I look at the ease of access for anybody coming behind Dave that might want to help out. And Kajabi to me makes the most sense, plus its capacity for use amongst, just the other things we want to do, like pricing, schedules, and purchasing of things through our website and through Kajabi. So that just throw that out there as a thought.
I think we have time to keep on discussing this and feel it out. It sounds like we're pretty much elected to stay with Kajabi through the end of the school year. So this is something that we can actually table till, I feel, probably March. All right. That sound like a good idea? I'm good, Dave. I mean, it's your.
Sounds good to me.
Right. So is there any other discussion for Dave and his CTO report? Anything online?
Not that I see.
So with that being said, we are going to vote to accept his report. All those in favor of accepting Dave's report, say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, say nay. All right, with that being said, we carry his report and accept his report. Moving on to number 6, our Mike's Journal Editor's Report with Rick Sillett. Is Rick on?
Yeah, he sent one in. Let me track it down real quick.
We're doing a quick search to see if we can find his report. I did not get it emailed to me, but we think it got emailed to secretary. Yasmin.
I am dropping a link to it in chat.
Okay. Did you get it in the chat, Dave?
Yep.
See if I can find it in the chat, open it up.
Does everybody have iPhones here? I can airdrop it.
Yeah.
What's that?
All right, here is where we're at. He says, post-conference journal. I had big hopes of having printed the journals in members' hands when school started. The people doing the photographing, results, and professional awards were great and had everything to be right after the conference. The journal was 90% complete in June, and not much has changed since then. I have sent several reminders to other materials and basically received very little in return. Here is a list asking for that I have been sending out multiple times. Live welding results, pictures and stuff. So Jim, we need to get that out. Schedule of meetings for 2023. Dave, we need to get that sent to him. President's letter, treasurer's letter, membership letter, rules report, conference chair letter, conference registration form for 2023, conference hotel info, conference 2023 location and dates, PD article and info, lobbyist report, a letter to thanks to Adam, Chuck, Kevin, etc. for planning and putting on 2022 conference. What does the board want to do about the post-conference journal? Please help Rod find advertisers and exhibitors. They help offset the cost of the journal. Please send all info for the journal to me ASAP. Okay. And journal target dates, post-conference journal, let's see, August 15th, I think it says. This part's a little hard to read. Pre-conference journal, Looks like April 6th, March 6th. And Fall Winter Journal looks like January 2nd. He wants to have December 1, mailing January 2nd. Okay. So, with that, we submit Rick's report for acceptance. Somebody want to move it? And seconded. And we are open for discussion.
I'll make sure by the end of this weekend, Rick gets those meeting dates.
Okay, I'll make sure by the end of next week I get my report to him. I know with the conference information, that's very important for us to get out. Adam will try and get him most of that information, hopefully by the end of next week. Sound good? Okay. Is there any discussion for the journal? Finish, look like you have something on your mind.
I was just trying to figure out who writes the thank you to the.
I can do that. I didn't have anything left on that list, so.
So Yasmin will write that back. Thank you, Yasmin. And our discussion for Rick's report.
We used to have the resolutions. Now it's kind of like a thank you at one time. And I don't know if we get somebody to just do resolutions again. We don't have to do any of this other stuff, thank you letters and stuff. Because that really wasn't thank you. I think the last time we used it was my convention, I think. Resolutions. I can't remember the guy's name. That's what our resolutions was. They thank you and the
Yeah.
board and everybody.
Probably you have follow up chairs.
Right.
You have the horses to fill out.
I talked him into finishing one more year after my. I didn't know what happened.
You broke.
Yeah, but he resigned, he already resigned, I said, just do one more year, it's okay.
So Joe Church is gonna take over that resolution. spot.
Second.
Hey, at least you're here. You can put in your own 2 cents on that one.
Well,
You should have.
I put this list together for a reason, but we also need, within that list, is to find new blood to come in, obviously, to take those positions. I don't know what these reports were. People a mile long.
We are literally running on a skeleton crew. And I think it's very obvious when you look down our list and find most of our names repeat at least once, or if not 2 or 3 times.
What you'll find out is that our best recruiting tool is ourselves, right? There's no doubt about it.
So the best way I've found to get recruits is by going out on that floor and talking to people and saying, hey, you do a great job with this. Calling up somebody that I've met and being like, hey, you do this, hey, we're looking for some help. I think you're really good at that. It's creating those positive relationships and getting them to trust and have faith in you. Trust your lead and your judgment of where you want to go. A lot of times they'll follow. But you got to have those relationships on the floor. Any other comments for Rick's report? Let's see if we can get all that stuff on that page satisfied by next week, Friday. That'll be our shooting goal. That way Rick can get his job done. All right. All those in favor of accepting Rick's report, say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, say nay. All right. That being said, that report is accepted. We move on to the legislative report, Mr. Adam Carr.
We've had a really good year with legislation. I feel like every year we just do more and more with our lobbyists and it just gets better and better. We have met, I take Chuck with me, and we go to Lansing. We try and get up there every other month. September last month, September and October, nobody's there because they're running for their campaigns. So we're gonna start going back in November, will be the first month back that Chuck and I go to meet with people. When we go, we try and get between 4 and 6 people a time. So we just go bam, 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 and then we get Chinese food for lunch. I have to thank Jim Thielander. He was the very first person to get that $50,000 grant. He did it with one legislator. They got it on the docket. They did a great job. And I have to thank Chuck and Matt, our lobbyist, and myself for continuing that year after year, because we specifically target the people that vote yes on the $50,000. That's who we meet with. We go, we tell them what we're doing with the money. We're excited. We share everything that's going on. We get them excited. And that's part of the reason why we continue to get this grant. Now I can say year after year, which is a really good thing, and hopefully it continues. The other thing that we're really working with on our lobbyist, it's a slow process, is trying to get money for non-CTE programs in the state. We finally have a representative who is willing to get on board with this. It's Senator Paquette from Niles. He is a very out-of-the-box thinker and understands that to get a kid to a CTE program, you have to start them somewhere with that exploratory class. And we really are targeting the middle school and the freshman, sophomore kind of exploration type classes with him. We're looking at the 61C, what's the money pot? 61C, or B or whatever it is, I can't remember. C, to actually earmark specific monies for those programs, which would be like, if you run these type of programs, you get an extra $25 a student or whatever. So we haven't had someone champion that because OCTE is so adamantly opposed to it. So much so that when the Perkins 5 grant came out, they offered money to exploratory programs and Michigan turned it down and said, we don't want that. We want all of our money to go to certified programs only. So we're hoping that in this next year with Senator Paquette, we can kind of move the ball forward a little bit with that. But we have to be careful because the majority of our legislators support CTE. That's what they know. And so when we meet with these people, when we talk about our organization, they only think of us as how is it benefiting CTE. So we really need to cater to their interests to continue our grant process too. So when you meet with legislators, you have to be very political, right? In the sense that you can't say things that upset people, right? So you have to kind of dance. It's like a dance where you're talking about what you want, but you're kind of doing it in a way that gets them on board. So things have been really going really well with it. I have to give the credit to Matt Curda. No way. I know that Jim was big on call your senator and do that sort of stuff. I don't have that time to do that. He makes those connections for us. That is what we pay him $5,000 a year to do. So I think it's great that he has the ability to get us in front of who we need to. The single greatest thing that happened for us, and I'm not going to even try his name, we have been struggling for years to get Mike's listed as a certified state recognized CTSO. So much to the point where Dr. Piles absolutely refused to meet with us. He said, I will not meet with Mike. He told our lobbyist, I will not meet with you. I've had the conversation. I'm not telling you again. The answer is no. So what Matt Curda did is he went to Dr. K, is all I'm going to say because I can't pronounce his last name, who is Dr. Piles' boss. He is the assistant superintendent of education. So the superintendent, assistant superintendent, and then like the deputy people like Dr. Piles. He invited him to our convention. I met with him, walked him around the show floor, expressed to him, we want to be recognized. You see the value in this. Matt has been in his ear for the entire year leading up to the convention. And he said, Dr. Piles, you will meet with Mites and we will come up with a resolution to this. And so he facilitated, Matt and Dr. K facilitated a meeting for Chuck and I with Dr. Piles, Dr. K. We sat down together and he explained why we are not likely to be a state recognized CTSO ever. Here's the way here's the way the state does things. The state only recognizes national organizations as their state recognized sponsored CTSOs. Okay. They don't even accept all of them. There's 12.
There's 8 and they accept 6.
There's 8 and we accept 6. So we don't even accept all of the state, the national organizations as their own state organizations. However, Brian did give us all of the information that we need to apply to be a nationally recognized organization. That being said, one of the caveats of being national is you have to hold a national conference. So are we there? We are not there. Do 2 states count? Like when we had Ohio
Indiana.
and Indiana, Ohio and Indiana. No, Indiana and Michigan.
Right.
Does that count as a national competition? We'd have to apply for that. So that kind of, we went around, but at least we understand why the answer has been no. Up to this point, they've told us it's because we don't have enough diversity. It's because they've told us we don't have student leadership. Just kept giving us years and years from when Joe met to them to when we met with them years later. They just give us more to do, but they never tell us, but now we understand why it's never gonna be just yes, you're gonna be on the website. However, what came out of the meeting is that yes, Mites can count as a CTSO, which is what our meeting is about after this meeting, okay? And Brian gave us a template of everything that we need to do for the state to say, yes, if you do these things through Mites, we will recognize you. That being said, it's not special for Mites. It's anybody, any organization. If they do these things, the state's going to recognize them. So you in your own classroom can do these specific things and be recognized by the state. What Mites is going to do is we are going to do the legwork for our teachers, develop the forms, stick the Mites logo on it and the state of Michigan logo on it, and then teachers are going to submit their Mites forms in their track audits. So it's going to be Mites, right? It's not really the state saying, okay, it's a blanket thing, you're done. It's the state saying, if you do these things, we're going to give you credit, but we're not special. If anybody does these things, they're going to give us credit. However, he also said that the guy, welding guy, who says things wrong all the time, Lee Greenacre. He did say that Lee Greenacre will present at our conference and tell our members how Mites can count for state CTSO credit. I know, I get it. However, the fact that he's willing to do that and have a state representative say that this counts is a huge step forward. All of that is because Matt Curda convinced Dr. K to meet us at our state convention to have this conversation. None of that happened without our lobbyists. So a lot of really big things happened this year. And it's gonna take a year to probably roll this out. But we're like on, we can see that, we can see it now. We're moving in the right direction. So that is my report.
Move.
All right, and open for discussion. So, let me, Joe, can I add something in real quick first?
Sure.
So part of the reason why they don't put a blanket statement over Mike's is because we do our best to curtail our organization to everybody that walks in the door. So for instance, one of the things, and it burns me every time he says it, you need to catch up with Skills and hang out with Skills and partner up with, no. We're not Skills. We don't want to be Skills. We're never going to be Skills. Skills adjust for 5 kids. We adjust for all of our kids. And so what it is the difference between the two is with Skills, you take 5 kids and all 5 kids have to participate in everything for the entire weekend. Otherwise they don't go. So they're forcing all these kids to go through all this stuff, and they also charge an arm and a leg. Where with Mites, we have people that will come in and drop their stuff off and leave and not take part in anything except for the projects. So that's why when Adam talks about the documentation that goes with it, the documentation is something that's already been around and people have been able to. I've been using the documentation for 17 years now to make it work. But now we're going to take that documentation, we're going to make it easier for our people that want to get an account for Mites and make that stuff work. That's why they won't put another blanket statement over at Mites. It's just good all the way across the board because different teachers come in and take different aspects of us back home. All right, Joe.
Another legislator you want to probably plug into is Jack Burton. Okay, he's up in the UP, I believe, in northern Michigan. He's also a big CTE supporter and
What's his last name?
Bergman.
Berg?
Berg.
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 I'm going to the Berg.
Okay. He's running again right now. I know that. As far as getting Al Papadik, myself, have been working on this for on and off for many years. Is I know that Missouri has got a teacher organization just like us. They do the same things we do. And why not try to plug in that group with us as well? But we could have a national convention competition.
It's a possibility.
No, I think it'd be fantastic. Logistics is gonna be a nightmare, but here we go for the fresh wood competition. And there's, you talk about monies, I understand that, it's important. And that leads into something that I put together a little bit, talked about it, I put it in this document on the back half of this one. Just talking about how do we get the monies? Help fund these things. And that would be possibly using and hiring a professional. Our profession is teaching. We do very well at that. But if we hire a firm to do the grant writing, pay that firm out of the grants indirectly. Yeah, I know you can't use a grant to pay that, but we could definitely use that money for that purpose. We could open up a lot of doors. And that would even consider marketing us as well. Marketing has always been a hard down. Let's face it, we're not marketers. We're teachers. We do well with that.
Brett brought that up. Mark.
Yeah.
Preaching to the choir on that one.
Yeah, well,
You need that.
it's the board that's got to make decisions on these aspects. And if it is something that we need to look to and investigate, I don't know.
The decision's been made. We need to find that person. Same thing for our virtual assistant. I mean, we have it as line items. We already have all agreed.
With,
We just, to having someone who writes grants and someone who's a virtual assistant. We just can't find someone. We don't know how to find someone.
We could hire somebody for extra pay that writes grants in a school district. That's all they do. Have them do
Rob, all we need is a name.
Yeah.
We're ready to go with those 2 positions, paid.
Yep.
We are committed to those 2 positions financially. We literally need names of people.
Marvin?
Three real quick, or four real quick points. One, I know when we had Region 19 in Indiana, it was clear down by the Louisville, Kentucky area. I know Mishawaka, Elkhart, South Bend area, there's teachers that have asked about starting up Region 18 again. As far as how do we look at us and skills, we have entries by special ed kids at skills we never have in. Because we're meeting all students, not just our gifted #1 students in the class. We would be sending projects from all students, special ed to Harvard students. I would like to know what percentage, because you mentioned this, Adam, in your thing, what percentage of our MITES members are CTE? What percentage are just strictly gen ed?
IX.
And then
IX.
lastly, my last point, I think when you said that Dr. K attended our conference, that's one of the main reasons we always need to have it in Lansing at least every other year. Is would he have attended?
But
if
it's
it
not
was-
financially.
No, but.
But maybe I'll see soon.
But would he have attended it if it was
He would not have.
any other location? So that's what I'm saying. We need to,
And he wasn't the only one. We had several come.
no, I totally understand. Because his boss was my former boss.
Was he the guy that, was on the floor, you were
That
talking
you-
to, and I
That you
distracted?
did your work, you
Yeah.
distracted an individual,
Yes,
that was him.
okay, good. That's what I thought.
For us to say that Brian Powell wouldn't see us and talk to us says a big thing, because both Adam and I have a personal relationship with Brian.
I even Facebooked him. So,
Yeah, he was your boss at one time, right?
for a lot of years.
Yeah, and he wouldn't see us.
Well, he did see us originally and told us no, but he wouldn't meet with us again to tell us no again. He basically said, I already told you no, and my answer is the same. So we don't need to meet.
Little history lesson. Yeah, we were working on Patty Cantu. He says, well, at the federal government, you could be recognized by the feds, you're all set. So I called the feds. And you're telling me that the state of Michigan will not recognize mines for what they do. And the person I was talking to at the national level was, why is this not happening? Okay. Word got back to Patty Cantu, she would return the calls. So I hit a nerve, I know that. But it wasn't intentional.
You have that.
Oh, yeah, well, I didn't hit a nerve on purpose. She told me, okay,
Just following
go
stuff.
this way, I'm following your direction. And I went for it. And maybe I just called the bluff, I don't know what it was, but I know I beat her out pretty well.
At least now we have direction.
Well, I pretty much knew what you were talking about, because that's everything that was told me by the national people. Because you just gotta get these things in line.
And that's like when Pat Calvert would come and do our track reviews. And, well, what national organization did you belong to? And I said, MITES. I said, it falls under the other category. It falls under the student competition. And so she didn't have anything she could come back on. It's like, hey, it's right there. We met the requirement.
Except student competition isn't a part of track anymore. Now it's
It
student
used to be
leadership.
one of the four.
Right, I understand, but now it's not.
Yeah. I know.
That's another problem, is they keep on changing the goals.
I really appreciated the feedback, the background of how we've been dealing with the lobbyists. We need to put it in a quarterly report written for the whole membership. I'm sorry,
I don't really
you're the
know.
best guy to write that.
I am.
Paragraph.
You're good at
Even
that?
if it's a paragraph.
You're good at that.
I'm really bad at that.
Yeah,
Well,
just a
time to get
paragraph.
It's
back.
not like you don't have enough to do.
But you have a secretary? So
That doesn't.
Val does not count as your secretary.
no, I wasn't pointing to Val,
I have two secretaries.
because you're administrator.
Yes, but I have two.
All administrative assistants.
Yes, they are.
There you
And they do
go.
way more work than me.
Well, they make
There
you
you go,
look good.
slip on that.
Can you delegate that
It's
to
just,
them or not?
it just needs to happen. I mean, that would resolve a lot of our other issues as well. Obviously, good stuff's going on. This is terrific.
But don't I make a report every other
Yeah, you
month?
do, but it doesn't get conveyed to the whole membership.
Put it in the newsletter.
Which might bring more seats.
You gotta,
People see.
you gotta summarize what you said in a paragraph or so, boom, here it is. And then 3 months down the road, boom, here it is. Somebody does. Or the
There's-
journal. Yeah, but the journal
There's a-
would be in the journal.
There's a new teacher in a position at Dakota now, and she's all for going to Skills USA. And I'm yet to convince her, and I will probably eventually, if I put this stuff in front of her, the overall cost is one thing. What you said is even more immensely, because that's what they do. Skills USA points to the top. Trust of everybody. We point to everybody.
Well.
We do everything that Skills does, but we do
Yeah.
way cheaper.
And there's a lot of teachers that are stepping away from Skills because of those reasons, financially, one. That's a big reason. $2 an entry, really? And then they go through, if we get to CTSO and all that other, all that line.
And that's also another reason why we pushed. Because of our first conversation with Ryan and his team. That's why we have been pushing for our live competitions. A, because they said literally, a quote, I'd rather see 7 kids on the floor competing than 7,000 projects.
They did say that.
That
Who
was
said
the-
that?
That was the
The
direct quote.
state, OCT.
And so by us getting into those,
We do both, right?
yep,
That's not what they want to see.
by us getting into those live competition areas, now we're doing what MDE asked us to, OCT asked us to, and we're also starting to cut into Skills USA.
Our
So
costs are gonna go up. Our costs will go up.
our costs are actually staying relatively
Because we have sponsorship.
because of sponsorships. So for instance, Jim Swenson did a phenomenal job this past year running our welding program. Everything was donated. Except for, I think, pizza. I think the food that they gave out, that was not donated, but all the material, all the giveaways, the place that we had it, everything was donated.
Is the colleges, the trade schools, are they out? Still coming or not?
A lot of, that's a rock question, but a lot of our trade schools have backed out because we don't offer the automotive competition, which is a whole other fiasco that we can talk about later when we get down to that. All right, so we are on legislation right now. Is there any other questions, comments, concerns for Adam and his legislative report?
I think when it comes to cost, we can make up, you know, you talk about money a second. I think we can make up that difference with a lot of advertising. We don't pay for it that way. I'm just making it real short.
Deal. All right. Any other comments for Adam?
Very short and sweet one. Mites, we leave no child behind.
Mike's works for
That's
all
true.
kids. Mike's works for all.
Yeah.
Kids.
You put that on the website?
I'll get on the graphics.
That was Doc Lutz. Yep.
Doc, let's put that out there.
You got a logo that.
Doc Lutz with that one.
All right. Any other thing for Adam before we move on?
Oh, good.
Okay. All those in favor of accepting Adam's report, say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, say nay. That being said, we accept his report and we move on. Publicity and public relations with Lois Davis.
No report as far as I can tell.
No report, and is Lois online?
Nope, I'm looking right now.
So there is no report. Question, Joe?
Well, that leads into the marketing end. Is this another teacher, right?
This is one of our teachers, yes.
And how is she doing with this?
This is probably not the time and place.
Okay.
So since there wasn't a report, we probably need to have a conversation about that later. But when we deal with this, we're talking about anything in relation to the report, in which there's no report to give. So we can't really talk about anything outside of it because there's no report.
Yep.
So, moving on to CTSO with Mr. Dave Weeks.
And I'm not going to take full credit here. Jim Langley has been working with me since convention. I'm actually going to turn it over to him so I can drop some links in chat real quick if you want to get started, Jim.
Rock on. While you're doing that, I just want to clarify a couple of points. So as a teacher, I'm excited about the CTSO going out. And, you know, you spoke to several points about how it's cost effective. And I mean, you say it like a business like that, but it is. You know, when I look at BPA, when I look at skills and I look at other options.
Sure.
At the end of the day, when I push to my boss, hey, I want to submit 100 projects this year, and it only costs $200 to submit 100 projects. That's a far cry. How many projects is that for OSA, for skills, for, you know, take your pick? It's very pricey, so it's cost effective. One of the things that I know as teachers, and I know this is verbatim what I'm going to be asked, we have the list of everything that needs to be done, regardless mics or not. We have the list of what needs to be done in order to check that box as part of our GEMS at the end of the year. And so even this year, it can be done. Okay, so based on that knowledge, so that when we go back to our career centers, our schools or whatever, and they ask, so can mites qualify for it? The short answer is yes, because we are standardizing something that I've been working with Dave on, and he's kind of made me be steward of, and I'm well with it. Wordsmithing, getting the documentation out. We currently have 3 documents. Do you have those up? Well, correct. And as of late last night, we have a 4th document. The first document that I want to pay note to are the CTSO rules and regulations. Long story short, we want 5 people minimum as part of being that board for that chapter. So you have the traditional roles of president, vice president, secretary, treasurer, and then you're going to have a 5th member. Not necessarily calling it a trustee at this point. We can wordsmith that later, but for sake of brevity, stating that there are the 5 members, that you maintain an active roster throughout the year. You must maintain and complete a minimum of 5 hours of student leadership training. Again, most of us that have been through this for a while, we know that there were 4 options before, and now it's boom, student leadership. So we're trying to meet these criteria. Adhering to school guidelines and procedures for financial transactions. Pretty simple there. Things that you must do or be a part of for eligibility, enrolled in a public K-12 institution. It's just generic in that way intentionally. So we're not saying it's exclusive to CTE. This is open to others that want to participate as part of meeting these student leadership guidelines. Enrolled in an active MITES associated industrial / CTE class, so that they're able to contribute in some way that's germane to what we want to get across. Maintain a 2.0 GPA. That is what has been stated. Like when I came in, this is what was there. I don't know what the history of the 2.0 is there. I know it's different for other organizations. I'm not getting into that. I'm just stating what is on the current documentation. And then following school rules and regulations. And then it goes into, for the chapter founding, we're acknowledging that this is going to be, in the first year especially, this is going to be a work in progress. I mean, we're just getting an update about the meeting, which very thankful that that went on the whole very positively, given the history. It's been kind of tumultuous there. And then you have to submit a letter of intent. That is something that was an active piece that we are working through to try to make out for members. But at least we have the positive right out of the gate that this is something that you can use through MITES to go ahead and fulfill that box in GEMS. Because at the end of the day, if I have colleagues, and I have 3 total colleagues with myself that do MITES within my career center. And if I told them, well, I'm still not sure on the CTSO thing for this year, they may look to other avenues. But if I can report back, hey, it's going to work, we'll have the material for you. We already have some documentation. As long as you follow these guidelines at the end of the year, when we have to submit the things to GEMS, formerly Navigator, then you're good to go. And the state's gonna check off on you, and when come audit time, our butts are covered. I mean, to be clear about that. And so that's been a longstanding question that we can now answer. So I think that's a boon for us as an organization. And then I'm working toward trying to, like was mentioned previously, get all of this information out and streamlined in a way that we try to make it as simple and clear cut as possible. So people know, check this box, check that box, do what they have to do in order to move on and get that correct. We have the student service learning project requirement. Students have to do something to kind of give back. And that's one of the things that other national organizations ask for and something that we're trying to push out. There's specific, and again, for sake of brevity, I'm not going to get deep into it, but it is listed out. We have documentation there for that. And then a layout for the CTSO chapter roster. So there is a fourth document that does speak to a student leadership participation log. I think that's something that I'll table for a little deeper in for another time, but there is active work being done on this. I am kind of heading this up, I'm assuming now kind of as chair for this, and I am happy to field any questions that anyone has, or if you get something that from someone at your school, in your CTE center or whatever, pass it on. If I don't know, I'll dig deeper, but I want this to be a successful piece, and we need some good communication on this. We have momentum now. Thank you guys for doing that. And yeah, I'm looking forward to it. And I'm glad that we finally have something that we can use that's relevant. I don't have to go to another organization for it.
I will add one thing, the participation log that is the C06 document from GEMS, kind of rebranded. I basically copied that form, and that's the part that I think we still have a little tweaking on, but that's what you're going to be reporting to GEMS with. That's probably of all the documents, for documentation wise, that's the one you want to keep on top of and take a look at. We'll probably get it finalized in the next couple of weeks.
And that's all I have to report.
All right.
So
Second. And we are open for discussion.
The only thing I can see would be you can't use it for National Technical Arts Society because they won't recognize it yet.
And I understand, and I
That's why we got some kids that the only reason they sign up for like skills and become a skills member is because they're gonna be on the national.
a nationally recognized, and understandably. And, I see this as, like looking at it for what it is, I see it as momentum. But you're right, as a stretch goal, then absolutely.
But that's way out there.
Sure. I'm just happy that we now have a format that can work.
Sure.
And Marvin, were you, I don't know if you were a part when we were looking at partnering with NTHS.
That was back with Pat.
National
Yeah.
Technical Arts Society.
Yeah, were you involved then? Do you remember those conversations? Okay. I'm looking for somebody who was more involved than myself so that we can restart those. Because we did have a member that was looking at partnering with them for our national organization, and we do have the national organization position open. That member has parted ways with Mites, and so it kind of left us in a void.
Marvin, thanks for filling that position, national organization
The
chair.
national, section 5H, is that in section 5H?
I believe we have appointments down here. Don Shag can still put you in.
He's not present.
Oh, don't worry, I'll fill in for him.
I'll put one of both.
I just want to say, I want it on record that this is the single most important thing that Mites is going to do this year, period. There is absolutely nothing in our organization that is more important than getting the CTSO streamlined and me being able to go with our lobbyist to Dr. Piles, have him approve it, which he said he is willing to proof and approve, and take this to our membership. There's nothing more important in Mites this year. So thank you very much.
I'm glad there's no pressure. That's the important.
No
We
pressure.
have, honestly, that's a conversation that I have with a number of different teachers at tech centers on a regular basis. They ask me, well, when is this gonna be approved? How do you get it approved? Is there documentation? When can I tell the rest of my staff that this is something that we can use? Because there's a lot of staff out there, a lot of teachers, and they're like, well, it's just not a one-stop shop easy thing, and it is. You just have to do the paperwork, so.
And so for that, in order to allay any concerns or whatever questions that people have, I do want to avail myself to answering those. And so send them my way, because this is going to be a mantle that I want to pick up. And, you know, my way of kind of giving back to, because I think mine's is a great organization. And I'm well to do that. I just, you know, there were some questions that I had coming today, you know, if I'm going to be the chair for it, like, are we going to go yet this year? I didn't officially know. So I'm happy to hear that. I mean, that's awesome. So good deal. Good deal.
Question.
Yes.
Some comments too. Try to do this about 10, 12 years. And I do have some forms within my documentation. Is there anything within, and I see, you know, 5 members basically at each school to be voted in as a group type thing, right? Yep. Is there anything at the state level to mimic what we have as officers as well that holds, basically manages all this? Just kind of wonder if that is thought of.
Are you saying pulling from something that already exists out there instead of reinventing the wheel? Is that what you're trying to say?
You're talking state
Each-
officers.
All of you have these groups in the state now, of the CTSO, your student group, okay?
Mhm.
Okay, let's open up a state voting of anybody that wants to run for the state officers that will mimic Adam, Chuck, Desmond, all those positions.
Sure.
Basically gonna mimic you guys, gals.
But you're saying at the student level?
At the state
Student level, but at the state, gonna
No, no,
mimic
no,
and
no,
help these
right,
people.
right.
But
Sure.
also, what I envision at one time is, when we have a meeting at a bi-monthly meeting, is you can bring in all these students.
Sure.
And have a little in-service with these overall, and where the leaders will probably have some teachers there, but definitely these 5 members that are state level holds those leaderships and coordinates different events.
Sure. I think that's a great opportunity for a good future. And
Yeah.
it's someplace that we should put on our sights for a 5-year goal. I think that right now, we're at a state where we need to get our foundation set underneath us.
I agree. I really like working toward that too. I think it would be a cool goal to, maybe, I don't even know about this year, but in the very near future, to be able to, like, even bring my kids to one of the meetings or something like that, to kind of show and have them maybe speak to things that they've done or whatever, as that, again, baby stepping part of that process.
Exactly. Like,
So-
every teacher has that organization, and it's been ran for 10 years throughout the state
Mhm.
and different schools. I know Chad Capo had it. I know, I would say Borland had it. at one- all over the state. What?
You could do come up with a community service project that could be held at the state, and each chapter could do a part of that, bring it with them, and then as a group, bring it all together, and then let's say if it's food packages or something that they give to the city of Kalamazoo because of being Kalamazoo or whatever, but each group could put together something, and then as a group, you know, those 5 officers are working together with other schools to create packages, then that would go out to the community. It would bring it together, showing the groups working together and then doing a community service project at the state level.
Again, I think that's great. I really do. As like, you know, a future goal. And I'm glad that there's enthusiasm from members to want to further this. And I'm all for that. And I'm happy again to help within reason coordinate some of those pieces. I just like, I'm still kind of in celebration mode that we have the green light, so to speak. So, yeah.
Any other questions, comments, concerns for our CTSO?
I'm gonna be releasing putting the documents up live later tonight. Actually, no, I'm gonna say tonight and mean tomorrow morning. And send out, an email, a blast to all the members, announcing everything and where to get the documents.
Yeah, I would not do that. Because I have a ton of information that I'm gonna give in our meeting after this meeting that he's gonna need to look through to make sure that
Everything,
indeed
okay.
everything is done the way it needs to be done.
Do we want to say,
So,
And then next week.
and, okay. Cool.
All right, any other questions for CTSO? Anything online? All right. So, with that being said, all those in favor of accepting their report for CTSO, say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, say nay. And moving forward, Industrial Contact Committee is currently an open position. So if somebody's interested in filling those shoes, that is a good thing to run for. So we're gonna go ahead and appoint Joe Churches for that. And moving on for the Mite Endowment Committee, Josh Burkhardt.
The endowment committee hasn't met to discuss the endowment itself. One of the things that I will be doing in October is researching the different foundations in the local area for potential joining with them and depositing our endowment, and bringing a proposal before the board once I find one that is the best for the endowment, or that I'm recommending. And then if anybody's interested in actually being an endowment committee member, let me know, and we'll do it together.
We have those people.
It's myself and Gene Pierce.
Okay, so if you can send me your preferred contact method via my treasure@mites.cc email, that'd be awesome, and we'll do that together. Thanks, Joe.
All right, we need to motion in a second.
Motion to approve?
Second. And open for discussion. So Joe will send you, Joe will send you his contact information, and also Gene Pierce's. Does anybody else have any questions for Josh and the endowment report? Dave, you got a question?
No,
Something
not
else?
at this time.
It's,
Okay.
it's in the future discussion.
Gotcha.
Yes, sorry.
All right, if there's no questions for Josh, we can go ahead and vote on that. All those in favor of accepting Josh's report, say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, say nay. All right, and with that, it is passed and approved. We can move on. I know Construction Competition Committee is Andy Romes. He's not here. I don't believe he left a report, so we can move on. Automotive Competition Committee, Chuck Lukey's Adam Carr. So here's one thing that I would like to see is with our expansion of our live competitions, okay? I'd like to see this part where it says construction trades competition, automotive. We need to have, change that to a live, basically a live competition. And then there will be one person over the top of that, in which case we've already done it on the other end. Being that I let it up last year with the expansion of our competition by 3 different areas. Now I'm stepping back from that position, and John Long is going to be taking that over, leading up that organization. So for future reference, I'd like to have this changed in our agenda so we have live competition, and then all those will report to John, and John will report to us. John couldn't be here today. because he had some personal things to attend to. But I know that he's working and I'm working on catching him up with where we have been in the past couple of years and how we're progressing to move forward. I know that the last competitions we went to this past year went really well. We added live welding. I added CAD. We actually ran a, what is it? It's not an official competition, but a pilot program for architecture. We also ran a interview thing. We ran an interview competition, and we also did a project presentation competition. And all of those went really good, and we had awesome reviews all the way across the board. I know that the people that are running those, for instance, I know that CAD and architecture, 2 people have stepped up to the plate on that and are taking that over, and they are going to continue to expand it. This last year we limited it to, I think it was 30 entries total. And they said, why are we limiting it to 30? And I said, well, just because for starters. And they said, well, we want to go ahead, we want to expand that because there's no reason why we have to limit it that much. So, and I know that, for instance, we had one school that literally wanted to send, I think it was like 15 different kids last year. So I was like, hey, we can only take like 5. So I think that's a good opportunity. And the same thing with our welding program. I know that they had Stark reviews all the way across. Everybody loved it. In fact, a number of them said that this was the best competition they've ever been to, just because of the way it was ran. So we're moving in a good direction now. As we look forward to this year, I don't know if we can do it with the time given. I had somebody in line to work on a machine tool program. And since I've talked with him the first time, I haven't had any interaction with him since. So this is one of those things that I'd still like to work on and still like to move forward with. I'm not going to 100% say that we can get it done in time for this year, but that is one direction that I feel we are going to go. Same thing, graphic arts. I have some wordage and some basic things down for graphic arts. And I have somebody to take care of that, but they are no longer a teacher in the field. So I have to have that conversation with them to see if this is something they're still willing to work on and move forward. So we have some good opportunities out there to continue to expand and continue to bring in more teachers. And if these are going to be the things that set us apart from where we were and where we're going to go. So hopefully by continuing to expand this way, we can actually bring in more teachers from tech centers, bring in more teachers from graphic arts program, from an arts program, from STEAM, from STEM, from Project Lead the Way. Because now we're not only giving them a place for static displays, we're also giving their students an opportunity to perform. So we're involving, once again, the entire gambit. The nice thing that we've done with our live competitions that Skills and everybody doesn't do is that we don't limit it to just your top 5 or your top kids. We actually broke them up into different sections. So like with welding, there was a category for A's. So all your 2+ hour kids, they competed against other 2+ hour kids. There was a division B, so which was just juniors and seniors, and they were able to compete just against junior and seniors. Same thing, freshman, sophomore, and middle school kids. So, and then we still have those subdivided into our regular organizations. So Big Take Stick. So it was really good. We ended up covering a lot of different areas and making sure to represent a lot of different kids for abilities to succeed. So, but that's kind of where we're going, and that's where we're at. Like I said, John Long is setting that up now, and we're working on transitioning him over. It's a busy time for us because we're starting school, but it's also an even busier time for him because he is a football coach. So he's got to take care of his kids. With that being said, I submit that report for construction trades competition, automotive competition. Second, and open for discussion. Joe.
Andy's still doing construction?
Andy's still doing construction. But I'd like to bring him underneath that heading, just because it is a live competition. There's no reason why it's outside of the live competition. It's all part of it, right? Yeah.
So this position report, my position.
Sure.
Right.
We used to do electrical too.
Right, and that's one area that I'd like to see us continue to grow in.
We just gotta find somebody to gonna run it?
And that's where we're struggling with our automotive competition, is that we went to the automotive teachers and we tried getting people in line and they just, sure, I'll help you out, but I don't want to head it. You got nine different automotive teachers that don't want to head it. All of them want to follow, but they want somebody who's not automotive to head it. I'm like, you guys don't want me to head this thing. I'm not an auto teacher.
That's what Brian Chloe and I had, we were meeting with the auto teachers. We didn't want to have it, we were just trying to organize it.
Right, but they're looking at you for your direction.
Yeah, I'm going, no,
It's
I
like,
don't
no,
know,
this is your thing. So, and to be honest, we kind of got, I don't even know how to say it appropriately, but we lost out on a good deal. And it was, for a long time, we were told, hey, you need to let some of these colleges come in and have them run the competition. I was always very hesitant about that because my fear, Adam can attest to this one. My fear was always that if we set this college up with our organization and set them up with all these different tools to run these things, eventually they're gonna say, why do we need Mike's to be here? And then they're just gonna run on their own. And that's kind of exactly what happened this past spring. We met with Ferris State University. And they were all giggity and gung ho about saying, oh, we want to run this program in conjunction with you. And we met with them, we talked with them, they were all happy-go-lucky and said, oh yeah, we're gonna do this. And I sent them some information and some documentation. And then they said, oh, we'll get back with you in 2 weeks. 2 weeks came and never came back. I sent out emails, I sent out phone calls, I left phone calls with their secretaries, I left phone calls with them. I called their personal numbers, I called their home numbers, I called their office numbers. I did everything, emailing, everything. We're talking to the 10th degree. And at the end of the day, they still didn't call me. And when it came time for us to have that competition, I found out a week later, 2 weeks later, they ran the competition exactly how we all had it set up, and they didn't use us. And that's exactly what I was afraid of with that automotive competition. We start to rely put all of our eggs in that basket, like it's eventually gonna go away. So
What if we copyrighted our material? You know, the sheets that they're using and our wording and everything, that auto competition. And the supplies, where's the trailer at? Do they have the trailer? No.
They're running out of there.
they're
Oh,
doing
are
out of
they?
there.
Yeah, who's got it? Who's gonna
They
do
have
it?
the facilities.
Our trailer, our automotive trailer is up at Fremont at the bus garage. It's in Tanks. Tank has it.
That's good. What if we copyrighted everything?
Copyright's not that easy, not that cheap.
I know that, I know that.
And it doesn't really do much good because then we
We'll
have
just
to, then
take
you
our
get-
stuff and resolve.
well, they could take it, but then we have to
Change the
defend it.
words.
Yeah.
And you
Yeah.
change
Sue
10% and that's it.
There's only so many different questions you ask about the same thing. You know what I mean? Brakes, for instance, aren't these the questions and things like that? All right, Jeff.
I just asked when they ran this competition, did they actually contact our rights teachers and the ran?
I don't know, we still have refused to talk to them. It was a very shady situation, and I'm still very bitter about it.
We're having a lawyer.
All right. Any other questions for our live competitions?
It doesn't make me happy either, because I sat in all those meetings with Brian Clough, reorganizing that auto competition. And when they run it, well, and they even had Snap-on and other companies displaying, and I went to them and said, hey, you owe for a commercial exhibit some money here. And they refused to pay it. Snap-on doesn't want anything to do with us. I tried to get them to come to our convention later on. They won't even answer my emails.
I bet you if you posed to Snap-on about their, oh no, I'm thinking Stereo, my bad. I'm off my base, never mind.
Yeah, two different ones.
I mean, they're both red, right? I
Yeah,
mean,
they're close.
Start with S's.
That's good.
All right. Joe, you have a question?
Do you want to have an auto contest on the floor?
I'm not against it. I'm 100% for getting automotive teachers involved. I think they really enjoyed it. I think there was a lot of definitely good things that we offered to them and that they brought to us. But the hard part is, once again, who's going to be the person that heads this up? You know,
And then
because like I said, I've got way too much on my plate already, and I'm not an auto teacher. I even tried I even tried cornering two of my auto teachers, I think this past week. Twisting their arm, hey, you're gonna do this for me, right? Sure, I'll buy you a pitch of beer, let's talk about it.
Buy it, yeah.
No, because he didn't want to come out to drink with us.
It's the first step,
But
right?
I'll get him out, I'll get Doug out, he still won't do it.
Well,
He'll help, but he doesn't want to head it.
well, heading it is, you have a core of teachers that are willing to help. How many of them?
Depends on the day.
The
So I.
worst day up possible. how many?
Even last year, this time last year, I had, I think, 10 different teachers that I sent out emails to that told me that they'd help me. And I was like, all right, let's set up a meeting for this date, and nobody showed up. So it's a whole lot of, sure, yeah, but then when it comes to rubber hitting the pavement, it's different. Oh, I got something on this week.
Nothing is the pavement.
Dave, you got a question?
No, it's more of a comment. Josh does need to present on the budget. He has to leave like hard deadline in 20 minutes.
Okay. Are there any questions left for live competition? All right, with that being said, all those in favor of accepting the report for live competition, say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, say nay. All right, that being said, that report carries and is approved. Moving on to appointments. Don Shad, do you have any appointments for us?
I do not.
I have one question.
So no appointments. What's up?
Do I have to appoint Jim into the CTSO position?
Probably to make it official, it'd probably be a good idea.
Yes.
Okay, then I will make a motion to appoint Jim Langley as our new CTSO chair.
I second that.
Seconded. Any, which is our, it's appointment. All right, so I believe we need to discuss it. Any discussion?
Do you need anybody to assist?
I have no problem reaching out if I feel like I am drowning in some way, shape, and form. So we got a master list of helpful people. So, but yeah, at this point, feel pretty good about it. So.
And I am going to be staying on to help with him as well.
Any other questions, comments, concerns, proposed funds, or queries? Okay, all those in favor of accepting Jim as our new CTSO person, say aye.
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 All those opposed, say nay. That is carried. Congratulations, Jim. All right. Moving forward, we have old business. And according to that, we have nothing underneath old business because we get the job done. And going on to new business, let's go ahead and let's skip down to the budget. That way Josh can get moving onward. So Josh, tell us about this year budget.
So the budget that I reported out is showing an $8,358 shortfall. And that's basically because we're using the Lansing Convention Center's slightly bloated expenses as our estimates for next year, along with using a reduction in or averaging of the actual membership, because we had it proposed to switch to 150 from the 125, 175. So it's a little bit of a reduction in that regard. So with that being said, we can trim the budget. I have played around with the budget itself for looking at a reduction. And if we do trim some of the expenses, I can get it down to 5,000 as a shortfall. Now, that would leave us with $44,817 versus the $41,000 as reported. So it is possible. So just remember, these numbers are looking at an inflated expenses. You can see when you look through there, that this past year, we didn't meet those inflated expense amounts. We were well under in many categories. We don't have some of the expenses coming up because they were already during this last year is when they hit from the year prior. So there are some of those things that are out there. Also, looking at some of the things we've talked about, if we can get autos teachers to sign on, autos teachers at 9 autos teachers gives us an additional $1,350 at $150 in membership. So there's some additional incomes there, as well as one thing to consider if we were to even look at raising our membership and convention fees to $200 per person, which is still well under most all other organizations that hold any type of convention. That's an additional $7,500 of income at 150 members. So there's some additional incomes we can have that would improve that loss of 8,000 or 5,000, however you want to look at it. And as well as the additional, if we had an additional 500 projects at the regional level, that's an additional $2 each of $1,000. It's going to add to it. And if we're going to be charging for CTSOs as a membership per chapter, and let's just say we say it's $150 like the regular convention registration and membership, that's an additional $1,300. I'm sorry, that's an additional $3,000 right there. So those are some of the ways that we can improve by increasing our revenue streams, adding new revenue streams. But as it stands today, the budget we're looking at is about an $8,000 shortfall, just because we've adopted the pricing from the Lansing Center versus what we'd had estimated from the year before.
All right. Is there any discussion about our budget?
I guess, what is so expensive with the Lansing Center compared to everywhere else?
I don't think this is.
Do you have the,
I think we have to approve this first.
Well, he said discussions.
But I don't think we need to approve it because, well, number one, approval doesn't happen until the very end. But I don't think we have to do any motions yet because of the fact that it's not really a report. This is an open new topic.
Okay.
Am I right, Dennis?
It seems.
Okay, so once again, let's open up for discussion.
Josh, what was the total amount for last year's convention, all in?
Total convention expenses were $42,157.98. So if we
share between 30 and 40,000.
Well, your anticipated costs are 54,000. I mean, you're proposing a $54,000 budget for the conference this year.
Because we thought we might have to go back to the Lansing Center, which we're not doing. So when we sat down and had this meeting, the three of us, I said to be on the safe side, go with the Lansing Center budget. Because if we have to go back to the Lansing Center, we have to have that money allocated. Now that we're not, the budget can be adjusted.
You have, okay, you have like 3,200 for an automotive contest this year. On here, right? Are you planning on trying to get it back, or?
We want to leave that there so that if we do get it back, we have money allocated for it. Remember, the way that we kind of went about this is in our perfect situation with what we have, how much can we allocate to it?
Right.
So that we overestimate and fall short of that budgetary.
Correct.
So there's line items on there, just so you know, that are padded well. Like, let's just look at awards. We estimated $2,500 for a line item for awards. We spent about $588. Now, judge pins will have to come out of that for this next year. That might be $1,000. I don't know exactly what Kevin's got, for a lineup for those type of things. But those are that's the idea, is that if we're looking at that as an $8,000 shortfall, we've also padded a lot of money in there. So like executive board rooms, we padded it at $6,000. We actually spent $4,500 last year. We had website expenses last year that were through the grant from last year, but they came out of this year's budget because we got to that point where it was this year when this came through. But we estimated we were going to spend 5,000 for the website. But if we're not adding new software, if we're not buying, a lot of new hardware, that 5,000, we won't even get close to it. And I've already went through and tried to break out what the estimate is for the next year for the software purchases that we make on a regular basis. So some of those things are padded really well. Look at board meeting mileage. We only had one meeting we actually paid for last year, which was $300, but we estimate about 4,000 if I think it was like 25 members show up at 4 or 5 meetings and we figure out the mileage from that. So that would be about 4,000. But, maybe 50% of the members actually take the option to do that. So we have some wiggle room, lodging and amenities for meetings. We pay for the summer get together or the strategic planning meeting for rooms for executive board. That was $1,665 with the meals, the lunch, and we give it 4,000 as an estimate. Just again padded. We take all the padding out of there. We're well in the black as far as that's concerned. So I'm not too concerned about the 8,000. Like I said, just going through and trimming some of that, I was able to get it down to 5. And if we're able to do some additional revenue stream in the meantime, CTSO chapter payments and so on, it's going to cover that no problem. But as it stands, without knowing the future and without being able to cut that out officially, it's an $8,000 shortfall. And again, that's going back to if we were looking at the Lansing Center, if we have some of these additional, costs, like when you look at the Lansing Center, they charged us for $1,000 just to run the CAD competition because of electrical hookups. That wasn't expected. We didn't know that beforehand, before we ran the CAD competition. So these are some things that we can go to wherever we go to next and say, okay, this is what they did for us last time. What can you do to beat this? Are you going to charge us $1,000 to set up a room for CAD? Are you going to charge us however many dollars per drop? What's your drop expenses and so on? It gives us a little bit of leverage and also knowledge going into it ahead of time. We can budget better once we figure out where we're going. But as it is, I think we need to stick with this just to be safe. And then as we go through the year, look at trimming some expenses if possible.
Josh, one of the things that I was looking for were the expenses for our continuing education program that was started last year through Michelle. I know that, if everything was working out right, there was going to be pretty much a wash on input output, but I don't see any expensing of that proposal for this year.
Dave, do you know what expenses we would be incurring based on that?
Really Kajabi would be the expense for that, which you said was 3,000.
Were we doing something with a staff person from her side that kind of made things happen? Was that?
So that was the virtual assistant. We have a line item. It's been approved. We have not found somebody to fulfill that position yet. I've been looking for on and off like 8 months.
What is the virtual assistant?
So that would be somebody that basically we hire. They can be a remote worker to do like data entry, like what I'm going to call digital legwork.
Oh, so
Okay.
the amount that we paid last year isn't listed any place on here.
I don't think so. I don't know.
Where
I'm
is
not
it?
looking at that document right now.
That's a Josh.
That's a Josh issue. That's a Josh.
You got it.
What's the answer?
What was the question?
Where is the Kajabi expense or the continuing ed stuff listed somewhere?
For
Yes.
last- in the coming year.
Where would that be listed?
It is line number,
It's listed.
there it is. It's 1270 under technology.
Last year that doesn't show.
Yeah.
Is what we're really looking for.
Say that again, Dennis?
The
The
$30,000 expense that was all part of the Michelle deal isn't accounted for.
Did you hear that, Josh?
Previous year?
That came, I believe that came out of the first budget, so that would have been 2 years ago.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We just approved it and spent it before like October.
Yeah.
Because we're dealing also with a.
Timeline.
Yeah,
And
budget year.
The Kajabi from last year was all wrapped into that 30,000.
Okay, that explains it, yeah.
On our end.
Okay.
Maybe you can talk to me about that.
Yeah, we had to spend it by October. I
No,
remember that.
So we did the 20, is this runs from when to when?
I think September 1st.
September 1st. September 1st.
We kind of fudged because we had left over, spend it
Hey,
before
Josh.
the end of.
Dumb question. Did we buy those Chromebooks and tablets from the grant last year?
No, we did not. We have not purchased those yet. That's a carryover and that's why it's on this additional budget.
Are we planning on doing that one?
I left it on there. It's up to what Dave and the use of those, we end up, determining if we're gonna be able to use those or not. So I left it on there just to be sure it was there in case we needed it.
All right, I think that's something that, I know Kevin, Lee, and I myself, I think we're really excited about having that opportunity for our floor as ways to input information faster when. judging.
Agreed.
So. All right, any more questions for Josh on the budget?
Is this a two reading thing? Dennis?
Yeah, it is to approve your expenditure. I have one more, my mind would stick with me.
That's all right.
It's
We
making me nervous.
we can come back to it later.
Progenics.
Yeah, you might take a double dose.
All right, any other questions for Josh before we move on? I know he's got someplace to be.
I do remember.
All right, Dennis.
I'm kind of spun. I know there's a reason, but I'm stunned by how much we're spending for an annual budget. And I keep reminding myself back when I was doing it. If we spent 50, 60,000 for all of the year, for all of our expenses, that was a big deal. And we've obviously, times have changed and costs have changed as well. We were spending 30 to 40,000 per year for conventions, but all of the other expenses that we're spending, that we're proposing to spend, make me sit up a little bit. And is there an easy answer to that other than costs are going up?
Well, and you have to remember, we're doing so much more than you used to back then. I mean, we are offering it's not even comparable from when I was in college with Dr. Tappan, being a part of this organization 20 years ago to what we have now. And all of those endeavors need to be supported. And that's why I gave such a pushback at our last meeting and said, what is it we really want? Do we have a membership that wants to sit back and go to a convention and have that be mites? Or do we want a membership that wants the professional development, the student leadership, the ongoing initiatives, I really challenged, I know it upset Michelle, but I really challenged the summer PD. Is it worth it to spend $5,000 for 25 teachers to get PD? I don't think so. And I push back, and that's something that this board is really going to have to sit down and look at over this time, because our budget is not financially viable the way it is right now without the 50,000, and we can't count on it, right? So we need to really target our membership and say, what is it that you want, right? And do those things and really do it, because right now the board's making decisions with very little input from the 150. So we're trying to do something for everybody, right? Instead of targeting what specifically gets the most.
Can I piggyback on there as well? I think there's also a cultural shift within the organization. And I think I mean more with the members than anything. We have a large group or a group that has grown of people that just show up at convention and they think that, well, but like over the last 15 years, I've seen it grow when I went from like a third-year teacher joining MITES to where I am now. And I think, how do we build more of that active participation of our membership? When we went to Zoom for these meetings, more and more people are coming because it's easier. But then how do we get members re-engaged in some of our day-to-day activities? I'm sure when you were in your leadership roles, the members were more active. Everybody has a lot to do, but
It was always a challenge.
Yeah.
But we had a much bigger group to pick from, so.
well, yeah.
But still, when I was president, we had roughly 600 members. And guess what we talked about? Well, back when I was here, we had 1,200, we had 2,000, you know. It's just the times. I mean,
And here's just another aspect of it. The more we get with technology, the more technology gets better with us, the more expectations are put upon us. You know, I think about, you know, teachers in the 60s, if information moves slower. Well, I don't want to say less expectations were upon them, but you know, nowadays we have instantaneous gratification. We have to interact with our principals 16 times a day. We have kids emailing us 20 times a day. And then the state wants to release things and it has to be done by next week, Tuesday. And, you know, all those things add up. There's a whole lot more expectations that are being put on teachers every single day. Oh, well, technology will make it better because all you gotta do is this, yeah, but there still has to be time to do those things. So it's different. Yeah, when do you have time for teaching? Like, just let me go in my classroom, leave me alone. I'll do my thing. The kids will come out and whatever, just let me do my thing. So that's not how it works anymore.
Unless you just turn that switch off.
Yeah, and then they pull your funding. Oh.
definitely
All
not
right.
gonna get easy.
Any more questions for Josh and his budget so he can get going?
I got one more for you, Josh. The ACTE institution budget proposed 1,200 and national organization liaison. That's just are we planning to do that or it's a just in case?
That's
That's
number
just-
5H.
That's underneath Marvin,
Oh, okay, cool.
National Organization Liaison.
Gotcha.
So just so everybody knows, I do want to make this statement. I have applied to be an ACTE fellow in the National ACTE Fellowship Program. There's one person selected for each region. So our region's like 5 states. It's a year-long commitment to ACTE. You have to present nationally. You have to go to Washington, DC several times. And basically what it is it gets you into the national ACT organization so that you can hold a leadership position within the organization. So that is something that I pushed for our organization to partner with, because they are growing exponentially with CTE administrators. So it's basically the MASSP, if you know the principals organization, basically the MASSP of CTE nationally. I want to say they have, I can't even put like 90,000 members nationally. It's unbelievable how big it is. So just to try to bridge those two, and even in my letter of recommendation that I got, it says Adam would be a great candidate for this position because he is a past president of the MITES organization. So just right there, bridging that gap, I think is going to be a really good thing. I have no idea if I'll get it. There's a lot of applicants. But just so everybody knows where that's coming from, I have always encouraged us to pay our dues and be advertised within ACTE, go to the convention, have a booth, get out there and support them. And they actually presented at our convention too. So I'm just trying to build a partnership with them because we talk and talk and talk about how do we get in front of the right people. These are the right people. These are the administrators. So,
Dr. Lutz was doing that for many years.
Yep.
Wasn't he?
Well, he felt that that was the closest group that would affiliate with. So we should affiliate.
and I also believe that.
Yeah, we just haven't pulled the trigger.
We have not, but now I'm trying to bridge the gap.
So you're pulling the trigger. Okay. Thank you.
All right. Is there any more questions
I have
for
one.
Josh?
We bought a printer last year, a color printer, a laser. And I'm trying to find it in the budget here. I don't see it, last year's budget. Expenditures. And it's not in this year's either.
Josh, where do we?
It's not in this year's because the expense was last year. So that's covered as a zero cost of addition. Last year's it's in there. It's under,
Well, you got right here, previous year's financials, 21, 22. And
it's
it's not
under, it's there. Let me see where we stuck it. Printing. I'm trying to remember where it was. So it was just a lot of lines to look through. And let me look at the other one.
How much was the printer?
It was $950 with toners. There it is. It's under program expenses because we used it to print the programs. Line 3085. I believe we had originally budgeted like 1,500 or 2,500 for that.
Expense that there.
And so then this year we had listed 1,500. I think we can probably get away with less than 500 for all printing expenses because we already have the toners. We already have everything we need except if we have to purchase paper to do it on. So it's listed as 1,500, but I think we can get it for less than 5.
Any other questions for Josh in the budget? All right, so this will conclude the first reading of the budget during our November meeting, which is going to be held November 5th. The place is still to be decided. We'll read the second reading of the budget and then we will vote on that, correct? Okay. So moving forward, do we want to, let's do strategic planning? Dave, do we have something to discuss for strategic plan?
Not that I know of.
No? Okay.
Yeah, we were.
On our Tuesday meeting and really hash out that.
Okay, all right. So we're gonna move forward. That's an executive board thing. I guess I misinterpreted myself about that. Because I had Yasmin entered in this morning. So we do. Oh, was it? I thought that because we shared it with our people, we were gonna discuss it a little bit. We're gonna discuss it as an executive group and we'll talk about that in November. All right, let's discuss our lobbyist. Adam, tell us about our lobbyist.
So I've made my pitch for the lobbyist. The bill's past due, of course, because that's who I am. I would like to make a motion that we hire Kurobe Associates again for the year, it is $5,000. No, six. Josh,
It's like 6.
Budgeted six.
$6,000. Thank you.
We'll take five.
I think he just left.
$6,000.
That's what he's got.
That's what it is.
Because it's a new item, open for discussion.
I guess I'll speak in favor of it. You know, I think our lobbyist is now, is this the third year that we've gotten the grant?
Yeah.
Third year in a row that we've gotten this $50,000. This has allowed us to hit some major milestones that we as an organization have been trying to do for quite some time. I think we're moving in this direction the state wants us to. So we're seeing benefit from it. I know a lot of people in the past have questioned the need for it, but I think we are seeing the need. We are seeing the payoff from it. And I think we should continue. I think our lobbyist has a proven track record at this point. And I think for the major milestones we're hitting, I think the value is there. So that's my comment.
I think that when we first got lobbyists, we didn't feel like we were getting our bang for our buck. Where it sounds like right now we are. It sounds like, you know, the first one we got, it was almost like, oh, I got another group I can give $50,000 out of, and I'll just have them piggyback on. It sounds like what's going on now, we're not a second thought, we're more of part of the main thought, from what I'm hearing from your reports.
I think we are better utilizing our lobbyists.
Where before we were just like, you do something for
You do
us.
something for me and let me know.
Where now we're saying, hey, this is what we would like, now do it.
Any other discussion, for the lobby? Is there anything online?
Nope.
Mike?
Yes.
Determine how long we've been doing this.
What's that?
I mean, we're just talking about how long we've been doing this. As far as,
For our lobby?
yeah,
Our lobbyist.
trying to figure out.
I don't know.
2007.
I'm gonna say it's
I'd say
been
easily.
a long time.
Yeah, Dave King was all over it. for a long
Yeah.
time.
You know, and, you know, I can appreciate what you said, but, you know, during that time, Dave King was in Adam's position in making the communication and reporting back. And we got reports back. We wanted more always, you know, but when you start to talk about funding
Non-CTE.
thank you, CTE programs, that was brought up years and years ago when we had our lobbyists at our convention in Saginaw Valley, and some of us asked directly, this is what we need down the road. We are down the road, and they're talking about it as a real possibility. So don't discredit what was done prior. You know, we're never happy with how much has been done, but all that laid the framework for where we are.
I'm just saying it sounds like there's.
Oh, yeah, there's definitely more.
Going that direction.
I mean, you basically got a lobbyist report today. Yeah.
Absolutely, and that's
I
what
mean,
we got
everything
paid
going
way back, but nobody was happy with that then either.
Well,
I didn't care. I thought it was good.
and if you could produce some kind of report every meeting we have, just so people can see it. Or we don't have a report. It's always been a tough one to sell when that happened.
Who wants to spend the money?
Exactly. But then they understand that this has been a process.
Paying off.
And now it's paying off even more.
I think your biggest complainer about it was Jim.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
There were
Well, it was
lots.
across the
There were
board,
lots.
different areas.
Huh?
Yeah, there were lots that didn't see the value.
Yeah.
The thing of it is we hire people to do jobs, right? Just for instance, we talk about the virtual assistant. Can we do the job of a virtual assistant? Oh, yeah. Can we do the job of a lobbyist? Technically, yeah, we can. We can call up those representatives. We can set up those meetings.
Yeah.
and do that.
We don't have the time.
But we don't have the time.
Yeah, got a
So
job
that's
to
why
do
we
too.
hire people to be in those positions, to do those jobs, to make life easier for us.
Absolutely.
And I think that one of the biggest things that I like doing, not necessarily I like doing, because I hate doing it, but getting in front of those legislatures or, you know, the representatives, the congressmen, men and women, and actually just talking about it, it's super easy to do, and it gets so much done. The amount of conversation and positive things we've had with all those different people are gonna pay off dividends in the end. Because when we leave, number one, they know who we are, but more importantly, they know who Mike's is. They know that there are people out there that are trying to make those sacrifices and those big decisions to help careers in Michigan get better.
And the lobbyist knows the right people to talk to.
Yeah.
And you guys can finish the job after. It gets.
All right, is there any more discussion about our lobbyists? It sounds like we're moving in that direction. We're feeling pretty comfortable with it. Is there any other discussion before we vote on it? Okay. Does somebody want to make a motion? Adam?
Make a motion to renew our contract with Karove Associates for next year.
Okay. All those in favor of continuing on with our contract, say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, say nay. That was a hey, not a nay.
Yeah.
He voted against his own thing.
All right, so that motion carries. We do still have, we're still underneath our new topics. Is there anything outside of what we've discussed today that anybody would like to talk about? Dennis?
Ron Lutz sent me an email regarding his lobbying for a new teacher training program in the state. I can't tell you, is it Mid-Michigan Community College, Midland?
It is, no, it's Delta.
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 Well, he was talking about
He's
Midland.
talking about Midland.
Mid-Michigan.
Trying to get
Mid-Michigan.
them
He's been
to
working on it.
team up with CMU in a similar fashion where Delta and Saginaw Valley did. And he made the proposal, asked them to call him, and they're dragging their feet. So he's reached out to Western and somebody else, Grand Rapids or Lansing or somebody, and he just wants you to know that, you know, this is another thing. We need to train teachers here in Michigan because there's nobody. And so, you know, I'll forward that to you so you can read his exact words, but that basically that's the gist of it. You know, he's working on trying to get somebody to jump on board, and he had made a contact with somebody at CMU who seemed interested, and then he's still waiting for the next shoe to drop.
I think the biggest problem with training teachers is, and Tim Thielander and I met with the legislator, his legislator. That was years ago, and my point was schools are eliminating the middle school programs and high school programs. They don't have anything. Where are we getting those teachers from? You know, I'm just saying, there's a lot of schools that eliminate their programs.
Chuck Adam and I, we just got done with the committee with Michigan Department of Education approving or recommending the cut scores for people going through what is it, IT. The certification is due IX and TX is now.
It's like a TE or something.
TE,
Technical level,
IT, TE, one of those.
Shows you how important it is.
So, but looking at it, you know, one of the big concerns that I stated to Darcy from Michigan Department of Education was thinking through your teaching the proper safety. And so now they're getting a committee around to do amendment for putting in safety exams or whatever for people wanting to go in.
Again.
What?
Said again.
Yeah.
Again. Well, they said we had standards.
Where?
Is there any other thing to add underneath your topics?
I do. Because real quick, I think what we should do.
Have a beer.
What I think we should do, and you guys take the commercial exhibits and journal advertising and make it one title. It's not doing both. And it really goes hand in hand. Just make it one job. That way you don't have a blank job essentially. whoever picks it up later. I mean, I'll probably stay at this point then.
It's on record right there.
But I'm just saying, make it one job, because it's the same thing. Because I actually do the advertising for the journal.
Oh, yes.
We're starting new topics.
And one other thing. All my documents when I was president-elect, president, convention chair, is on Google Share links for anybody to use in the future. I think I got it all on there. So everything's there. So I hope it's helpful. That's it.
Jim?
Yeah, I just have one thing. One of the things that I, as a teacher, have put in every year for is I have students that do animation work. And there are currently, if I remember correctly, 5 different categories that students can compete in for animation. And then we have our different divisions based upon that. I would really like to see, and I spoke at last year's convention with Dave about this, is I'd really like to see us have at least like 5 TVs, because the problem with the animation is that the students, like people walk by and they see all these great like art displays and all the great other works that we have on our show floor. And then the animation category is a piece of paper and a flash drive. And everybody walks by and is like, okay. And then like doesn't think any more about it. Really cool. And I have no problem helping with this or whatever. I just need to physically get the equipment to set it up, because we normally get there on Thursday, like early, to go ahead and help set this up so that for the display, every one of the 5 categories just has a revolving set of all the different animations that all the students have done. So when people go, it's actually a draw. People are like, oh, it's cool. And it may help propel further interest in that category, because people to see a flash drive on a table, they're like,
Well, or at least have a still shot of one of the scenes or whatever.
well, sure, but I mean, about how
Minimum.
much more so?
But
I
I
mean,
said minimum.
well,
at
right.
least have that.
But something to kind of help propel this and create interest, because I think animation category on the whole is one of our lower categories we have entries for. And I think this would kind of create some vigor in that.
So here's my question. When that's like in the rule thing, they say, hey, give us a thumb drive so we can check it out. Why don't we change that so that in the rules, when they drop their stuff off, they leave a computer and have it cycling so that it's on display all the time?
Well, I was thinking for the whole category. So like, you know, it's all as part of one looping thing that has been created from a Google Drive folder.
And I get that, but I'm thinking about the backside of the cost of now we have to buy the supplies and stuff to do that, where if we say, hey, bring a computer so you can have it running. Just like our other static displays, they're there working.
So then it becomes kind of a power issue too, that I think about, because like my students alone, I think I had a dozen and a half entries into animation, and then we would need 18 machines, you know? I can see that like really becoming cumbersome. And I was trying to think of one way that everybody can see each of the things. Because I think that's that be actionable right now. I just want to bring it to light, because it's a category that I think is really cool. They kind of falls flat.
No, I agree. I like seeing it.
I can go through my room.
Hey, Jim, I have
Alright.
a technical solution.
Is there
to that.
anything else we need to cover before, technically, we still haven't adjourned yet? All right. Any other questions for new topics? All right, so with that being said, motion to adjourn this meeting. Thank you for coming. Thank you for all your input, and we will see you all November 2nd. Okay. And yeah, we'll see y'all in November. We should have a location, hopefully.
Find out about the